What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of reckless logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts for me. And let's get straight into this video. Alrighty, y'all. So let's get straight into this fuck shit. All right, so let me put my banner up here, y'all. Alrighty, so what is going on, y'all? As you guys can already tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about the whole bunch of chaos that ended up going on the particular panel that we had the other day. Now, before I get into all of that, let me just make sure I put this bad boy up. Make sure you guys thumbs up the video. Please make sure you guys support if your heart desires. Damn, bitch. All right, so before I get into all of that, let me put up my other video for you guys, my video for my fair use, and then we're gonna get straight into the bullshit. Period.
I'm in danger. I'm in danger. I'm in danger.
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, always constructive. Comment down below. News reporting, I guess that's what we doing. Teaching, hopefully y'all learn something. Scholarship, we ain't got no money. Education and research so you can get a nasty piece of degree, okay? Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And that's on period. And that's on Mary and her pet Billy Goat. All right, so y'all, what's going on, y'all? So let's get straight into this video, y'all. Y'all already know why we're here. We're going to talk about the chaos that was going on that particular panel, the panel that we had with J-Leethal. So just guys, just so I can give you guys a little rundown if you did not know. Okay, so so basically all this stuff basically happened from me, myself, and I was going surfing on J-Leethal's platform, and I knew about J-Lethal, and I knew I was on his platform before, not actually on it, but surfing his platform before. But ever since he joined our live from Black Men, policing Black men's emotions, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna surf, like kind of go through his content again. So that's what I decided to do. So I was surfing his content and I came across, I would say his most recent live, which was called Fake Woke. Now, he kind of does kind of the similar stuff that I do. Like, he has a series of events that he wants to talk about, and he kind of brings it all together depending upon what his goal and his goal is. Now, I will say this, baby. The live was very interesting. I personally feel it was very much biased, but however, everybody has their own thing going on. But however, at the end of that particular live, that is when I came across him talking about and saying things like we should physically discipline our women, and it really threw me off. It threw me off. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It didn't throw me off to the point to where I'm just like, oh my God, it threw me off. No, it threw me off because I always knew that men in particular felt this way, like as an undertones, as in when they speak. But however, I didn't think they would probably get to a point, especially knowing the times that we're in, they would actually feel bold enough to actually say it. And then to the fact of actually say it and then think that they're going to still have access to women. But however, we're going to get to that a little bit later. I'm going to break all of that down. Now, keep in mind, towards the end of this live is going to be a lot of reading, but however, I will be breaking down a lot of things, and we're going to have a real deep discussion. Okay, so that's basically what the live was about. So I was like, oh no, this is something that's like we have to talk about this. So I brought the Conscious, and so me and Conscious, we did a reaction video to it. We decided to do our little 1-2 and basically like give our opinions and kind of because in that particular live that he called Fake Woke. Now y'all live he said was Fake Woke. He most definitely told us, well, not us directly, but he most definitely let it be known that if he needs an intervention or something, someone call him out. So since his heterosexual partners weren't really doing that were on the panel with him, now So we decided to do it, and so that's what we did. Okay, so baby, so that's basically what we did. Now, the thing with the video about our reaction video, we wanted to actually have him on the panel initially because we wanted to actually ask him questions. But however, the thing is with that is that he just wasn't available. He didn't get to us until after the point. So we ended up making the video yesterday. Well, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. It was a lot going on, y'all. Day before yesterday. And we was on his panel. Now I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do my first initial thoughts. My first initial thoughts were, for one, my defenses were up. I was very much guarded, especially when I got on the panel. Behind the scenes too, because for one, I was already seeing the energy that he was giving. I already seen through the aura that he had. Now, here's the thing. I've been watching J-Leethal for a while. So for me personally, I kind of have a good glimpse, because not only have I been watching his previous, like his current channel, I've actually watched videos on his previous channel, because I've been, of course, like everybody up in here, for the most part, we kind of follow Conscious and stuff, and then on top of that, depending upon the person that Conscious comes across, I'll be like, what, let me check them out. So I kind of have an idea how he is. My defenses were up because I've seen him in the past look at and kind of behave in a particular light. As in, if he has at-home advantage, he's going to abuse it. So to be completely honest, when I first got on the panel, I just knew I was going to get kicked off the panel. I just knew I was going to get kicked off the panel. I just knew I was going to get muted, because I've seen it in the past when it came down to him. Those were my initial thoughts. Now, you go through the history of J-Leethal and Consciouztv. Now, we'll say this, that when it came down to J-Leethal and Conscious, they have had a back and forth, want to fight each other, not want to fight each other. They friends, they not friends, they on the phone, they not on the phone. It's a lot going on between them. I told Conscious, I don't know how you do it, but however, whatever you're doing, you are gifted and you have a lot of patience, because I probably would have lost my marbles. Okay, I would have lost my marbles. Okay, but however, and another thing I knew that was going to happen on the panel is that it was going to be a lot of hypocrisy that was going to happen on this panel, off this panel, before the panel, after the panel, the lives that come in the near future and far in the future. There's going to be hypocrisy that's going on this panel. Now, Conscious, of course, everybody know Conscious was the initially the person that J-Leethal, since he has close contact with Conscious and J-Leethal were the initial people that was supposed to be on the panel to have the discussion. Now I was like, girl, this is probably gonna be a shit show. Just to be completely honest with y'all. Let me see. He acts bipolar. I'm not calling him that, but his actions and personal dynamics were extreme. Yes. Now I'm not saying he's bipolar, but there was a polarity, and it was a very swift change and swift. Baby, he was going from happy to sad, mad, happy to sad, calm. It was a lot going on. All right, but yes, I just knew hypocrisy was going to be happening. Now, when it came to Conscious being on the panel, for one, he was disrespected. He was disrespected. He was disrespected. Like, and this is one of the things that if you actually, well, I'm pretty sure y'all know, but if you actually paid attention to the history between Conscious and J-Leethal, J-Leethal has a tendency, whenever he has at-home advantage, he seems to abuse it, and he wants to silence Conscious, or he wants to ambush Conscious. Now, case in point, they had their first interview. Actually, I'm gonna pull up the screen, because I like to, when I speak, I like to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. I just want to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, so I'll share my screen, y'all. So this particular video at the top, this video right here, this was the video that they end up doing, and they did like a 10-hour live, as you guys see, and they were talking about the LGBT queer issues, the dynamics between melanated heterosexuals and melanated cisgender, melanated and queer. They talked about it all. Baby, that was the longest 10 hours of my life. Now, since Conscious had at-home advantage, he allowed and gave J-Leethal the opportunity to express how he felt. He gave J-Leethal the opportunity to get out his talking points, and he allowed him to rock. Okay, in so many words. Now, but however, the next live or the next video that they did, it was on J-Leethal's previous account. Now, that particular account has already been terminated. Not the current one he's on now, but the one before this. That particular account, they you know, Conscious was over there. He was talking, but however, J-Leethal did this thing where he ambushed Conscious. Oh, actually, that's another thing. That's another thing. I just thought about it. It's a time before that one. He actually tried to mute Conscious, because when Conscious was trying to speak, and keep in mind, when Conscious was allowing him to speak, Conscious didn't interrupt him. Conscious didn't disrespect him. But however, when it was time for Conscious to actually get out his points, J-Leethal interrupted him and then tried to mute him. Even though within this 10-hour video, Conscious never muted him. Conscious never disrespected him, called him out his name or nothing. So they had a big blow up. Because things went left. CTV had got word allegedly J-Leethal had threatened him. That came from somebody, word of mouth. And so things kind of went left. But however, the next following live they did, which is the third live by this point, I personally feel, I'm going to speak for myself. I personally feel that J-Leethal knew that he could not sit with Conscious intellectually. So he kind of did like an ambush. They both were on a panel and they were talking about, you know, I forgot the name of the video. I believe it's like, why are black men so angry? It was something along them lines, something about black men. And as Conscious was speaking and J-Leethal was speaking, he allowed somebody else to come up on the panel. Now, the way the man was speaking, you can tell they already had this plan. This wasn't somebody that just wanted to talk all of a sudden. This was somebody that, for my interpretation, I'm gonna speak for myself, that we knew that they had planned this out. Because when he came up there, he was on go. He was on go. But however, intellectually, he could not sit with Conscious as well either. But that's a little background. And so when I seen all of that, I already knew the type of games he's on. I already knew if he has at-home advantage, is going to be a shit show. That's what I knew. And that's why I was like, girl, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I don't think we're gonna make it. I'm surprised if we don't get no F-bombs. And by the way, when I say F-bombs, I don't mean the one that rhymes with puck. I mean the other one that rhymes with maggot. I'm just saying. I just knew that was gonna happen. Now, here's the thing about, and also with him as well. By him, I mean J-Leethal. When it comes to J-Leethal, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't trust him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not trust him. I don't trust him because of the fact and the point of, whenever he does something or whenever he says that, you know, whenever he presents to you a certain idea, it's always, and 9 times out of 10 from the experiences that I've seen when it comes down to Conscious and from what I've experienced on that particular panel 2 days ago, he always has an underlying message or underlying motive when it comes down to him doing anything. And hey, what's going on? So he always has an underlying message and an underlying motive every single time. It's freaking crazy. So I did not trust him. I don't trust him. And I knew something was going to go down. I knew it was going to be some BS. No shade. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, One Love? Hey, baby. All righty. So let's get into J-Leethal. Now, here's the thing when it comes down to J-Leethal. J-Leethal, he always wants to be right. But it's nothing wrong with you wanting to be right. But however, the thing is that if you want to be right, then you have to be willing to listen, because don't just want to be right, but want to stick in your ignorance. Like, don't always want to be right, but you want to stay in your ignorance. If you want to be right, the most appropriate thing for you to do is to listen and to tweak up and refine your thought process, tweak up and refine the way that you think. That's the best way for you to be right, because then you're taking into account other perspectives, especially other perspectives that have had direct experiences to the topic that you're talking about. I'm just saying it makes perfect sense for you to listen to people that's actually been through it, and it only makes sense for you to listen to people who've had firsthand experiences and can actually articulate those experiences. It makes perfect sense, but I digress. Now when it comes to J-Leethal, he overtalks. Now he has said that in the past that he has a tendency of overtalking. At one point in time, he did say he was going to work on it. I don't know if that happened or whatever, but however, it didn't work out the last 2 days. I can tell you that much. But he does have a habit of over talking. And it makes it really frustrating at times to really, I guess, really want to stay there and actually be on the panel. And the reason why I'm saying that in particular is because these are the things that I personally pay attention to, because it lets me know if you really want to have the conversation or not. Because if you really want to have the conversation, you wouldn't be too busy trying to overtalk somebody. You would actually be trying to listen, especially when the other person's not giving you that energy, especially when they're not giving you that energy. Now, Mr. J-Leethal, like I said before, when he has at-home advantage, he tends to abuse it. Now, he may have more strategic ways to abuse it, as he may not have muted Conscious, he may not have kicked Conscious, because baby, he did that last time as they muted him. But this particular time, he actually did a thing where he wanted to do the 5-minute rule. He wanted to do the 5-minute rule. Now, let me explain the rule when it came down to this timer. Now, apparently he said that the rules were that each person was going to have 5 minutes to talk, because he said he wanted to avoid a 10-hour live. But this is where the hypocrisy comes in at, because you say you didn't want a 10-hour live or a long live, but yet you had a 7-hour live total when it came down to that whole particular video. Okay, but I digress. So that's why I call cap. I call bullshit. I call liar, pants on fire when it comes down to that. Now, another thing too is that intellectually, like I said, I feel personally that intellectually he feels like he couldn't sit when it comes down to Conscious. So he knows that having that 5-minute rule, and then not only that, me allowing to give you a 5-minute rule, and me knowing that you probably are very extensive when you speak, and then also on top of that, I'm going to ask you very complex questions that don't require a yes or no or a very short answer. And that was the thing that was killing, like really messing with me on the panel, because I'm like, why do y'all want us to have these short answers when we're talking about something that's very generational? We're talking about a lot of things that are rooted in trauma. We're talking about a lot of things that affect society, and also on top of that, y'all don't understand it. So what's the purpose of us giving you short answers? And on top of that, when you ask us questions, they're going to be questions that I would have answered if you'd allowed me to speak. You get what I'm saying? So I was like, I didn't understand it. It was like, girl, bye. It was a lot going on over there. It was a lot going on. I was over it, baby, over it. Okay, so he was so deep into the chat. J-Leethal was deep in the chat. He just could not get his head out of the chat. It was very distracting. And also I'm not gonna lie, y'all was being petty, and I was here for it. I was here for it, because at the end of the day, whenever they come to our lives, they say all disrespectful type of stuff. They do all different types of disrespectful things. And on top of that, he was being microaggressive when it came down to Conscious. And Conscious didn't say nothing. He didn't do nothing. He was actually showcasing how his J-Leethal's particular title, and he was actually showcasing that can black people come together even when respectful, even when they disagree. Even when they disagree. Girl, even when they disagree. So, yeah, so he was deep in the chat. Now, another thing that I pay attention to whenever I'm dealing with anybody, I like to pay attention to their rhetoric. I like to pay attention to the microaggressive or the subtle actions that they do and the subtle things that they may say. And that's a lot of things and that's how I was able to pick up on and have a little bit more of a glimpse of what J-Leethal was going to give on that particular panel. I was able to get a little bit insight when it came down to the panel, baby. Now, the thing with his particular platform and his I don't his supporters, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not know what to call them, but yes, his supporters. They do a lot of conflating when it comes down to issues, and they do a lot of not keeping context. And this is where my issue in particular comes in. My issue in particular comes in is that this is the reason why you need to be quiet and listen. Reason being is because you guys in particular only have a basic pre-K level of understanding very complex and nuanced conversations. But however, you can't even get a deeper understanding or try to dig deep within a message because you're so focused on and you're conflating and not keeping context with anything that you're saying. You're conflating issues and you're not keeping context with issues. And then on top of that, you're coming in with philosophies that already make you biased, that already screws up your viewpoint, especially for those who have different viewpoints from you. And then on top of, you're coming in with the mindset feeling that you're always going to be right and you're going to fight to be right. Now my alarm going off, but fighting that you're always going to be right. And so when you have that combination of fuck shit going on, you will end up with a J-Leethal and his supporters. That's just about how that's going to happen. Like when he was talking about the whole patriarchy thing, you know, because you know black women, and like he was like, yeah, because you know black women, you mean black women don't fight either, huh? I'm like, but you're not keeping into context. The context is that patriarchy sets up for men to protect the divine feminine or women from who? Other men. Reason being is because since you hold on to that protector role, if a woman can fight and protect herself from other women, why are you needed? Obviously, you're going to be needed because you have to protect her from other men. And like I said on the panel, I said on one aspect, you align yourself with the hierarchy of a patriarchal system, but on the other aspect, when it comes down to actually acknowledging the damage, the experiences of the divine feminine, and keep in mind when I say divine feminine, that's women and queer individuals, of the abuse that they have experienced within that exact same system that you're aligning yourself with. So you fight for the patriarchy, but then when it comes down to recognizing the side effects of the patriarchy, all of a sudden, oh, it doesn't exist. But you don't even realize in your rhetoric, you're so subtle when you speak. I'm the head of household. I'm the man. I'm this. I'm that. I am God. No one has no authority over me. But that's the hierarchy. If you believe that since you are a man and you need to be in charge and at the head, then that's what the patriarchy. Patriarch is men, male bloodline. Archy, hierarchy. It's a think of it as like royalty. Think of it as a power structure. It's a power system. So yes, patriarchy does exist, and you do utilize patriarchy. Now, I will say this as well too, because I want to say this while it's on my mind. Women and the divine feminine also have access to patriarchy to utilize it. Because even when I was explaining that, I was tearing their ass up once Conscious left. They wasn't understanding that. Reason why women utilize patriarchy as well is because the simple fact of one of the panelists asked the question: if a woman can get in a man's face and do all these things and yada yada yada, and you know that you're a woman and when he hits you and all these different types of things, he gonna end up in jail. And I told him, I said, let's be very clear. What's going on, y'all? Let's be very clear. Not only do men drink from the fountain of patriarchy, women do too. And because keep in mind, a woman getting in a man's face, knowing that she's quote unquote, and this is just the rhetoric that was being used, y'all, the weaker vessel, even I hate when they say that, but the weaker vessel, she's not as strong, generally not as strong as men, and physically can be easily dominated by men, but however, still act and approach a man in a certain way that may be considered aggressive, then be shocked when there's a result of violence, is because guess what? Under a toxic patriarchal system, women also utilize patriarchy against men as well too. That's the reason why women put hands on men, especially if they're in the wrong. They put their hands on men, expecting if they get hit back, other men to step in. But however, since other men hold on to the patriarchal gender roles of being the protector, that's the expectation. And when it comes down to these gender roles, now let me just move right along. Now, later on in that live, Heart of Inspiration came up on the live. Now, baby, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I love Heart of Inspiration. I love that she went on the panel. She was really making a mockery, making a fool out of J-Leethal, in my personal opinion. Making a fool out of him. Reason being is because she came up there real sweet, real nice, docile. I'm using quotation marks, y'all. Docile. Didn't raise her voice, talking to him very politely, all those things. But I want you guys to pay attention to, even when she was docile, even when she was polite, even when she showed him respect and actually showed him empathy when it came down to it, because she could have came up there cussing him out. But however, she decided to still be an adult, and she also decided to, you know what, maybe I need to get more of an understanding so we can see what the deeper issue is, because obviously there's something that's going on, obviously. So, even through all of her efforts, she was still kicked off the panel and called a witch. Baby, and y'all wonder why I be on y'all. I be saying, y'all don't submit to these niggas. Do not submit to these niggas. And to be completely honest, I'm low-key happy that this kind of happened, because this is another receipt of what, for me, this is another receipt of what I'm talking about when I hear certain rhetoric in barbershops, in churches, when I was going, when it came down to uncles, when it came down to family members, male family members, when all of the female family members were gone. This is the rhetoric that gets spilled into the atmosphere. Now, I will say this. It's not always as explicit. A lot of times it's subtle, but these are the subtle cues that are picked up through the patriarch, through the generations. And also it's fed through religion. And we all know that. But yes, like she was disrespecting, that she was kicked off, being called a witch. Now we're going to get to me. Baby. I hit the panel. Now I'm going to say this. When I hit the panel, let's be very clear. Actually, before I do that, let me get through some of these comments. I don't want to make it seem like I'm ignoring y'all. I'm going to start right here. J-Leethal's agenda isn't to bring the community together, but rather deepen the divide. And I 100% agree. I 100% agree, because even later on in that live, and I'm going to say it now, I was planning on saying it later, but I just might forget. Even later on in that live, he literally said that I wanted you guys to come. The reason why I do not trust him, he always has an underlying agenda. And I'm going to use that buzzword. They love using it for us. Underlying agenda to do something else than what is presented to the other party. Because later on in that live, he literally said that he was glad that everything turned out the way that it did, because he wanted to show his chat the way that we operate. After he did all the gaslighting, he did all of the disrespecting. But of course, they conflate and they don't keep context of anything. So I don't expect any rationale or logic to come. I don't expect much to come from the other side. I'm going to be honest with y'all. So yeah, the deepen the divide. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get into that. Come on. He called CTV a serpent, though. We're going to get into that. Don't worry. He's too busy trying to debate because he's only concerned about being right. And 100% correct. He is. He only wanted to hear himself. Yes, his talking points based on information. Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that reminds me of, and I keep saying this every single live that I do. This is my issue when it comes down to J-Leethal. And this is another reason why a lot of times now, even when I see the transphobia or homophobia now, I don't even bother. Because at this point, I'm not going to sit up here and talk to people that I know that do not want to learn. Be honest with you. If it's not a public platform and I'm personally feeling okay to do it, or I'm personally feel like there's someone's gonna grasp something out of me being up there, I'm not gonna do it. Other than that, I'm not gonna do it. Reason being is because of this. On his live, that exact same live, Fake Woke, where he basically showcased being fake woke throughout the whole 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours he was on that live. He said his definition of being real woke is that you be humble. By the way, I'm paraphrasing. You be humble, you take into account the facts, you listen, and you cannot neglect the facts. That was his definition, y'all. That's his definition. Now, the thing is, on that exact same video of the 10-hour debate with J-Leethal and Consciouztv, I'm gonna put it right back up. He got towed up for the whole 10 hours. Because at first it was a debate to him, but then to the end they were having a conversation because he was getting tore up. That whole video, you was getting towed up on every single issue that was brought up. And then everything you said was, you know what, I can understand that. You know what, I get that. Or you realized you realized when Conscious broke it down to a point to where you can't even deny the experiences or deny the effects of said topic that you guys are talking about. And then later, and keep in mind, this was 2 years ago. And then I go to your current channel and I see videos on every single thing that got debunked in this particular video right here at the top. You're talking about a gay agenda. You guys talked about a gay agenda. That got debunked in this video. You guys talked about the children. That got debunked in this video. Y'all talked about cartoons and shit. That got debunked in this video. But yet you still are not really woke and understand and completely take into account the facts. But I digress. Let me see, baby. Yeah, his energy was all messed up, y'all. Okay, so let me just go down to the bottom. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to see y'all face to face, baby. Let me take this down. Baby. Okay, so y'all. So I hit the panel. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I said, my defenses were up. My defenses were on go because I did not know what was going to happen. Of course, Conscious knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen in a sense, but I didn't know in a sense. I knew some fuck shit was going to go down, but however, I had to be prepared to be kicked. I had to be prepared to be triggered to the point I just start cussing them out, or I had to be prepared to be muted. Either or. So to be completely honest, the main things that I want to make sure I talk about it every single time, is that and even if you look at my thumbnail is basically Massa whipping his property. And I'm going to say that for YouTube purposes. It's three of the same picture of Massa whipping his property. And the reason why I did that is because, and I made sure that I put the quotations of every single thing that every single box said. Because in that exact same live Fake Woke, it was 3 boxes up on the screen. J-Leethal, Tahuddy, and I believe that's the right pronunciation, Tahuddy, and Amon Ra. That's the reason why those 3 boxes are there. Now, the reason why I made them 3 different colors, to, of course, signify 3 different people, 3 different boxes. I want to make it nice and clear. Then I also put the quotation marks and actually put in the quotes of everything they said that let me know their intentions, what they think, and how they feel, and supports my theory of them wanting to be Massa. And of course, I put the picture of Massa whipping his property because that's what they want to do. They want to beat up on women and children, but however, everything's stopping them. The system's stopping them. So they want to be Massa. They want to have access to the exact same system, but however, they want to have the same access as colonizers. They want to have the same access as white men. That's basically what it is. They always want to dominate. Like I literally said, to be completely honest, conscious, if it was up to black men, the only thing that would be here is just the mouth and the vagina of black women, and there will be no queer or trans people. That's just no shade. To be completely honest with you. He also mentioned that he liked Kevin Samuels. Just to be completely honest, when it comes down to Kevin Samuels, they really snitch on themselves when they say they like Kevin Samuels. Now, my radars tends to go off when they say that, but however, I tend to try to listen to them. But 9 times out of 10, they prove me right because even when they start to explain why they like Kevin Samuels, it's always for the fuck shit that he has really spit out into the world. Personally. He's talking about, yeah, these black women and all these things, and then these black women are out here wearing all these clothes and all this explicit music. And this is the reason why I keep saying you have to be very much well versed in certain conversations and also listen, because if you listen, you will learn a lot more. You're only having a basic K through 5th grade level understanding on very complex issues and power systems, because you won't listen and you won't take into consideration of people, the victims of those power systems, their experiences. But however, since you live in your privilege, and your privilege will not allow you to actually be quiet and listen when people speak. This is the same reason. I'm going to use me for example. That's the same reason, even though everybody was on her ass. Girl, I did not know y'all was up in One Love's Instagram. But however, that's the reason why when One Love was telling me something, I just sat back and I listened. You're supposed to listen. They're going to let you know something that you may not realize. And this is another reason why you have to recognize and acknowledge your privilege. This is the reason why when you are a male, you have to recognize your privilege of living in a patriarchy, your male privilege, queer or straight. You have to realize that. When we go outside, we don't fear for our life of getting sexually assaulted. Women do. We don't. We don't. Hey, what's going on, y'all? So you know what conversations that you need to be more on the listening side of things, and what conversations that you feel like you can be the best appropriate person to actually speak on issues. Thank you, One Love. So yes, that's the reason why. Now, another thing too. This whole witchcraft thing, I said this before. It's the here's the gag of it all. It's the anti-blackness that really resides in the hearts of melanated communities. Now, of course, I understand and I know why. I know why it exists. It all comes from white supremacy. I'm very much aware of that. I know why it exists. But however, it's just the ironic part of how are you supposed to be? Now, keep in mind, he said he's supposed to be Hebrew. Now, I don't know the exact terminology for what he actually goes by, but if you're supposed to be pro-black, for black people, trying to liberate black people, but yet you still hold anti-black rhetoric, anti-black ideas that is toxic to the liberation of our people. That's toxic. You're like, sir, you're literally up here glorifying a particular religion that, keep in mind, that's not ours. And even when Christianity was practiced in Africa, it's not this version. Is most definitely over some time was mutated. And then you demonize, quote unquote, I'm using quotation marks, witchcraft. But however, you're not understanding that the witchcraft that you're quote unquote referring to comes from African roots. That comes from us. But I know why. But however, when you have a deeper understanding of these issues, you know why, and I know why as well too. I know why, because what ends up happening, they end up taking our exact same practices. They demonize our same practices by putting negative words with negative connotations like witchcraft and demonic, and then making it seem like all of these practices are inherently evil, but then use those exact same spiritual practices, slap good words on them with good connotations, and then guess what? Sell it right back to us. Cha-ching! And then wonder why the hell we are so lost. You demonized. You demonized. I'm gonna say One Love. You demonized Heart of Inspiration, calling her a witch. But I'm trying to understand, if you go based off your spiritual practice, I'm trying to understand what is the difference than what you're doing and what she's doing. I'm confused. I'm pretty sure that you pray. You said you're Christian. I'm pretty sure that you pray. Who are you praying to? What deity are you praying to? And I'm about to use a trigger word so we can kind of get the understanding. What deity are you trying to conjure up? Who are you praying to, sir? Who are you praying to? You talk about witchcraft, but yet you're holding up a Bible. The book of Psalms is literally spells. That's the reason why even in hoodoo practices, the book of Psalms is very useful. That even then, coming from a religion or spiritual practice that's not meant for us, and it teaches us a lot of homophobia, transphobia, anti-blackness, which creates a lot of colorism, a lot of self-hate. Even that exact same book or that version of the book, there's still a book, aka Book of Psalms, that's still utilized to where our ancestors were able to still use it and be safe, because keep in mind, with slaves, they weren't even allowed to even read. And the only book they were allowed to read was the Bible. So even when they basically used what they had and used it to their advantage, and also disguised our same practices. You're calling her a witch, but yet you're literally worshiping and you're looking at a person that we can just about call a witch. What do you guys think Jesus, like, who do you guys think Jesus was? Like, who do you guys think that Yah, like, who do you guys think Yah was? He wasn't like into metaphysics. He wasn't walking on water. He wasn't feeding people with a little bit of food and a little bit of water. I mean, wine and stuff. He wasn't healing people from being from blindness by picking up dirt, spitting in his hand, and putting it on their eyes. That like what do you guys think? And this is the hypocrisy that I be talking about. And this is the anti-blackness as well too. And then he said in that exact same live, a fake woke, you literally said and talked about how the red man, and that's his terminology, y'all, the red man took the word woke, and they need to stop taking our stuff and making it seem like, you're not woke, and they're always trying to capitalize off our stuff. By the way, y'all, just paraphrase that. But however, you're literally on your exact same live calling someone a witch, but yet you do the exact same practices. Please make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Calling out, once again, that inherently evil stuff, these demons and stuff, but yet you call upon the Holy Spirit. And keep in mind too, a lot of times, like, I don't understand why a lot of people think just because people may be in a pulpit aka a sacred space that they think in within a church only God can speak to them. There's a lot of voices you can hear in the church. They're not always God. It kind of goes to when I remember me and my friends, we used to talk about our experiences in the church, and me and my friends always had the exact same experience of when you literally be in the church and you be praying or something, then all of a sudden it's like this little thought that's like it's so instant, it literally just pops just like that, and the thought is something so demonic or so evil, and you like, where did that come from? Like, where did that come from? And me and a lot of my friends, I can't speak for anybody, I can't speak for anybody else, but me and a lot of my friends, we had the exact same experience. And I was like, where did that come from? And it was like, that happened to me too. Yeah. So keep in mind, yes, you can be in the church, aka in the pulpit as well, and you can hear voices, but they're not always God. You literally call this lady a witch, but just because you didn't understand her practices. But yet, sir, you literally call upon the Holy Spirit. And also, it's all about intention as well, too. So if you have a nasty behind intention, you're not going to get the Holy Spirit. Sir, you literally called this lady a witch. But yet, especially if, I'm going to say this, if you attend church, there are altars in the church, sir. It's not making no sense to me. It's really not. But anyway, let me just move right on, because baby, I'm just gonna keep on and on about him, because it's for me, it's the, you know what really gets under my skin when it comes down to the manosphere in particular. I'm gonna say the melanated manosphere. I don't give a fuck about the other people, right? I'll be honest with you, because we have a lot going on within our own community, and baby, we have to get this shit together. Be honest with you. Once we get our shit together, then I'll worry about anybody else. Okay, I got empathy for everybody, but however, I'm focusing mostly on us right now. Okay, but I will say this: when it comes, like the issue that I have when it comes down to the manosphere, the melanated manosphere, is that for the most part, once again, warning: if the shoe applies and if it fits, walk around in it, Cinderella. Okay. The problem that I have with the melanated manosphere is that they have this approach, and from that surface level, it comes off as, I'm pro-black, I'm pro-melanated, I'm pro-black community. But however, they hide behind that whole philosophy, and they put, I would say, in the little sockets, in the little gray areas, they have areas of homophobia, they have areas of transphobia, areas of misogyny, a large area of patriarchy, baby. But they hide all of those different power systems behind the stance of, we're pro-black and we're trying to make the community better. Now, I will say this: all of them, I'm gonna say all of them, I do not personally believe that they do it on purpose. I'm gonna say that I personally do not believe they all do it on purpose. One of the issues that I had, and I always talk to Consciouz, and plus I said this on the panel a couple times too. Reason why, a lot of times, because for me, I try to listen to more people. I try to get different perspectives. I try to, I want to get more on find people that I can kind of get to a point to where I can take the meat and spit out the bones. And one of the issues that I personally had is that when it comes down to, I'm going to just use this for lack of better terms, but however, you guys know what I'm talking about. Hotep men. I typically have an issue trying to take the meat and spit out the bones. Reason being is because of they can be extremely knowledgeable when it comes down to a lot of different other issues. But since I am queer and I know the experiences of being queer, they always spit out misinformation when it comes down to the queer experience. When they use fear tactics, they use child molestation as a fear tactic. They use pedophilia as a fear tactic. They use breaking up the nuclear family as a fear tactic, population control as a fear tactic. So if I know from my personal experience of how they manipulate and use a lot of dog whistles to activate the MK Ultra of homophobes and transphobes, either explicit or subtle, behind certain talking points that they know is going to trigger up a certain response, how the hell can I trust them within a patriarchy, within a philosophy that embodies misogyny, it embodies homophobia, transphobia, and it embodies a toxic version of patriarchy? So for me, I just don't want to be in that position to where I get to a point to where I'm listening to somebody and I'm trying to spit out, like take the meat and spit out the bones. But however, I'm also ingesting fuck shit because I just don't know. Because my thing is this: if I know that they're spitting out misinformation when it comes down to my experience of me being queer, what the hell makes you think this misogynistic motherfucker not gonna spit out misinformation when it comes down to women and the contributions of women? Like a lot of times when they talk about, oh, there was no queer people in Africa before colonization, and we know that's not the truth. And y'all sit up here and give all this other information. I got a second guessing now, because my question now, okay, if you guys are sitting up here saying that a man actually introduced this, but however, is it really true? Did women actually introduce this, but the men took credit for it? Like, I start to have these questions. So that's the reason why it's like, I don't know. I really do not know. And that's the issue that I be having with pro-black men in particular, because that lets me know that, okay, you might just, your bias is speaking. You're not speaking truth. You're speaking from a biased place and from a hateful place, but yet you want to bring us together and then also use gaslighting and fear tactics and then look everybody else in the face. Why are black women divesting? Why are queer people always against us? Now, let's get into the pick-me-ishas. Girl, they was on the panel and they was windmilling for their life. Girl, they was up there windmilling for their life. So let me say this. Now, when it came down to K, to be completely honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've personally felt like, and I could be wrong, I personally felt like when Conscious, and I would say me here and there, when Conscious was actually speaking with K, I felt like she was understanding a lot of the things. What's going on, y'all? And after I say this, I'm gonna get to the chat. I'm gonna interact with you guys. But once K, like, I felt like once Conscious was actually speaking with K, thank you, baby. Thank you for subscribing, y'all. I felt like once K was actually, like, talking with Conscious, I felt like she was really understanding what we were talking about. But however, I felt like when she was about to get it, or she was understanding that MK Ultra was kicking back in of Pick Me Isha and Miss Patriarchy, it kicked back in. Oops. It snapped her right back into place. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Get Out. It's like that moment, like, when the movie, when the main character took a picture of the guy and the guy snapped out of it, and then they kind of took him back in the back, and then they kind of put him back into the hypnotic state. It kind of reminded me of that. To be completely honest with y'all, it reminded me of that. Now, let me say this. Now, she did mention and say she believes that men should have the right to actually physically discipline women because of self-defense. Now, I will say this, and I've always been this particular person, maybe because my own personal experiences as well too. I do personally believe that if anyone, and I am gender neutral when it comes down to this, if anyone puts their hands on you, you have the right to knock them the hell out. Men, if women put their hands on you, you have the right to knock them the hell out. No shade. And women, if a man put his hands on you, you have the right to knock him the hell out with that hammer. Everybody keep your hands to yourself. Now, I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm kind of to that point, because I'm not gonna lie. When I was growing up, my mom, she always taught me to, no, don't hit women, don't put your hands on girls, all the different types of things. But of course, me being queer and stuff, I was bullied and stuff, going through the motions when it comes down to being a kid who wasn't really fully understand or quote unquote accepted. So a lot of my, honestly, a good amount of my bullies were women. And so whenever I got into it with other girls or women, I always felt like I was at a disadvantage, because I come from the philosophy of don't put your hands on women, but at the same time, I got them going upside my head and doing all these other things. I actually remember a time, and this is when all of that don't hit women shit went out the window. Now, anybody can get it. If as long as you keep your hands to yourself, I'll keep mine to myself. I remember I was on a bus and I had this friend, and me and a friend, we were cool, but her older sister didn't like me. I don't know why. I have no clue. I remember I was on the bus and I just remember she put Gatorade in her mouth and she spit that shit on me. And I went to school like that. I didn't hit her. I went to school like that. I took it like a champ. I stayed in school just like that, sticky and all. But after that moment, it was no one was ever going to get the opportunity to disrespect me like that, ever. So that's how my philosophy changed. So I do agree that when it comes down to self-defense, if you need to defend yourself, do what you got to do. And that's gender neutral. Now, when she said about the children, now this is the hypocrisy that I be talking about, because when it comes to the children, let me say this. I think it's very funny. Now, it's okay for the husband, the men, to physically discipline his women, physically put his hands on women. But then whenever we bring up the children and having the children experience and actually view the mother actually being physically hurt, disciplined, they completely sweep that under the rug. But however, whenever we enter the conversation about queer people, they use the children, and children actually seeing queer people in public, in cartoons, and actually having representation. All of a sudden, you're worrying about the psyche of the children. So this is the hypocrisy that I catch on to. This is the hypocrisy that I be like, y'all are so full of shit. Because you mean to tell me if you care about the children when it comes down to queer people representation, okay, cool. But then now this is the reason why us queer people, we don't take you guys serious when you say that, because now when we're talking about a serious issue about how children can look at the representation of parents or two adults having a toxic relationship and showcasing toxicity, thinking that that's a showcase of love, a display of love, and thinking that it's acceptable for someone to use you as their punching bag. And now all of a sudden the psyche of the children don't come up, or it's not important to you guys. This is the hypocrisy that I just can't take. I was like, girl, elsewhere, personally. So another thing too, another hypocritical perspective that I was catching on to. At first, when she came on the panel, she wanted to talk about the Bible. She wanted to lean on the Bible. J-Leethal wanted to lean on the Bible. They wanted to preach the gospel. They wanted to hold on to their spiritual beliefs and spiritual practices, which is their right. They can do that. But I need for them to also understand and also recognize that we live in America. Not everybody lives by those exact same practices. A lot of people don't believe in your particular religion. People don't believe in your practice. But then not only that, even when Conscious got on y'all level of talking about the Bible, all of a sudden, when you realize that he's extremely knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about when it comes down to actually breaking down, understanding, having context for biblical text and a historical aspect as well, all of a sudden you guys don't want to talk. You guys do not want to talk about the Bible no more. And in her exact words, she said, "Forget the Bible right now." Oh no! I thought we was talking about the biblical text. So what happened? What happened? No. You guys were talking about the biblical text. So now that when we start talking about the biblical text, you don't want to talk about it. Oh no. You guys were talking about the children. Now that we're talking about the children, you guys don't want to talk about it. This is the hypocrisy that slips through the lips of people, and we be like, girl, what? This does not make no sense. But however, since you're living in privilege, and also since you are coming from a biased state and you're being a bigot, you don't even recognize, for the most part, I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the actually, fuck that. Y'all recognize y'all are being biased, but y'all don't care because you're being biased and you're a bigot. And that's just no type of shade. And on top of that, you're once again, this is something, this bitch. Oh, yes, ma'am. This is a saying that I came up with a while ago, but this is gonna be something that's gonna stick with me. Okay, you're giving a license to something that does not have its permit. Literally. What that means is you're sitting up here giving a yes to something either explicit or it can be subtle. But however, the reason why we call you a pick-me is because guess what? That affects you too. We're calling you a pick-me because guess what? You're literally turning your back and actually trying to give a license to something that's going to be very hurtful to people that look like you, identify as you, and also have the same experiences as you. Now, I do understand, and I don't want people to really harp or be really hung up on the semantics of what I'm saying. So with me, and this is another saying that I like to say as well too, follow the message, grasp the message, leave out the specifics. You're literally up here giving a license. You're stamping a yes on a philosophy that's really damaging to people that look like you, identify as you, and actually have similar experiences like you. But however, we all understand that Black women are not monoliths. Melanated women are not monoliths. They do not have archetypes. Because we cannot sit up here and talk about us being a community. We cannot sit up here and talk about us having various personalities, numerous backgrounds, numerous cultures, but then sit up here and try to give one size fits all type of understanding when it comes down to a variety of people. But however, we all understand that since there are power systems like patriarchy, and since we're keeping a melanated context, as long as you're a woman, you fall under that context. And they're using patriarchy as a way to abuse women and give a license to it. And that's called exploitation. They don't love you for you. They love you because they can exploit you. The difference between exploitation, the meaning of it, actually example of exploitation is a pimp. A pimp. Just because he had a bottom bitch does not mean he respects women. Just because slave master had an overseer did not mean that he respected Black people. Because at the end of the day, he was still a pimp. At the end of the day, he was still a slave master. So he doesn't. These hotel motherfuckers, these people with these patriarchal ideologies that really put y'all on the forefront to windmill for them, just so they can have a sense of, look, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I have a Black woman that thinks like this as well too. They use y'all for their plight, just so they can abuse y'all when needed. Now, let me say this. Girl, let me get, because I'm laying down right now. I'm pretty sure y'all hear the creaking and all this other stuff, girl. Let me get it together over here. Now, another hypocritical statement. Like, the title of the, actually, because, you know, for me, once again, I don't like to talk out of my ass. So let me share my screen. Let me share my screen now. So let me stop sharing for 2.5 seconds. On this behalf, let me share my screen because I actually want y'all to actually see it, especially for people who probably weren't there. But we're actually going to get into some things. So I'm just going to do this. Bam. Right there. Oh, wrong person. Girl, let's get it together. Oh, I forgot. With him, you actually got to put the little dash in between, girl. Bam. There we go. Name of the title. Can Black people have a respectful talk with someone that we disagree with? That was the title of the video. Now, baby, now this is where the hypocrisy always seems to enter the chat. Girl. Now, since I showed you that, let me just do this. The name of the video is Can Black People Have a Respectful Conversation with People That We Disagree With? But yet, sir, you literally was on the live. You was calling Black women all different types of bitches, hoes, big, fat, loudmouth, nappy headed. Keep in mind, yeah, I'm just giving out a list because I know he used some of them, but however, I wasn't sure if he used a whole bunch of them. But you said all those things about Black women. Then you called Heart a witch, even though she did not disrespect you. She was being submissive, docile. She had a very light tone. She didn't raise her voice, but you called her a witch. When it came down to knockout media that came up, you said you was gonna slap the shit out of him, disrespect him. You disrespected Conscious. You called him a serpent. Then not only that, you disrespect and you let us know how you feel about queer people. When you were literally speaking to, knockout media, you were literally saying things like, oh, you know, you sound like you a gentleman. Like, so, you know, with other people, I was taking it lighter on them. But, you know, with you, you know, the way that you were speaking, it let me know that you view us queer men in particular as less than men. As less than men. But this is another hypocritical aspect to it. So you mean to tell me that when it comes down to queer men, you're able to identify and look and understand that we are male, but then you view us as less than men because we don't perform or operate as what is quote unquote acceptable in your eyes of being a man. But then when we get into the conversations about trans women, all of a sudden you can't get your act together. Get it together, bitch. Get it together. And this is the hypocrisy that we talk about. And this is another reason why, another saying that I always say, baby, baby, y'all gonna have so many sayings from me. Another slogan that I always say is that the issue that I have is when we get into to certain conversations, we like to give we love to give little points that's gonna give a little cute, little nasty, little ooh, oh my God, you were right about that. I like that you said that. But however, when we press that exit button from YouTube or StreamYard, we go back to our fuck shit. But however, we all know the truth about what the fuck is going on in this world. So don't sit in the face of Black women. Do not sit in the face of queer people and try to give you a little cute little oohs and ahs and say things like, I'm here to be respectful, and say things like, I'm here for understanding. Say things like, I'm here so we can actually have a conversation to see, can melanated people have a conversation with people that they disagree with, but yet be respectful. But however, call Black women all types of bitches and hoes, nappy-headed, fat, and Black. Call knockout media, say gonna slap the shit out of him, and call him all types of pussy niggas, all these different types of things. You called Heart a witch. You disrespect the existence of trans women in particular, and you disregard the social construct that once upon a time in the Genesis, when we start talking about cisgender men, you identify with, but then when we start to talk about queer men, you completely try to disassociate them from that particular gender. Even though we, on the other hand, have made a stance and also give an actual statement saying that, yes, we are men. That's why gay men that's why that's there. So this is the hypocrisy that I talk about. This is the hypocrisy that I notice. And a lot of times, this is another reason why I sit back and I listen. Because I'm taking mental notes. Take mental notes. Now, it's another thing. Because, baby, I can go on this for hours. But here's another thing. How do you expect, and this is the narcissistic, I'm over here using words conscious because conscious love this word. This is the narcissistic, egoic posture that people take. You literally want to disrespect conscious, call him a serpent, and expect him to be okay with it. Expect him to let it ride. And then you have a person, which is me. If anything, I'm the person that disrespected you. I'm the one called you a long, slim bodies. I forgot what the fuck I said. Slim Jim body head ass, a wide mouth ass. But I'm the person that said that. You didn't disrespect me. You didn't say nothing to me of any substance. But it's the narcissism within you that think that you can disrespect somebody. And you know it's disrespect. That's why you call him a serpent. Like it's the mind games. It's the mind fuck for me. And keep in mind, when this mind fuck is not, you don't ever have a condom. You're not even on prep. You're going in raw. It's the mind fuck for me. You're literally trying to disrespect this man on purpose, calling him a serpent that inherently you see as evil. And this is girl, and this is the issue that I have with men in particular. Now, keep in mind, of course, warning, I don't mean all men. But however, once again, if the shoe fit, wear it, Cinderella. The issue is you cannot be in leadership and hold on to power systems. You cannot be in leadership and lack the divine feminine for men in particular. You cannot, actually, I'm gonna put my thing back up because now y'all got me going. Let me just do this. Let me share this. Let me go find my thing real quick. Like, you cannot be in leadership, baby. This is gonna be a long life. It's gonna be worth it. You cannot be in leadership and think it's appropriate for you to lack all of these things, especially the feminine. And I said this once, I'm gonna say it again. I think a lot of times too, when they hear me and Conscious and people who have similar philosophies, that when we tell them to be in touch with their feminine, that we're telling them to act like me, or we're telling them to dress like Conscious. That's not what we mean. The 10 major causes of failure in leadership. Now, I don't want to get too deep into all this because, girl, I already did another video on that. But this particular thing right here, baby. Where is that bad boy? Lack of imagination. Without imagination, the leader is incapable of meeting emergencies and of creating plans by which to guide his followers efficiently. Since you guys want to be the head of household, since you guys want to be the leaders, the reason why you're going to suck at leading because you lack the imagination. In order to have that imagination, you must have the divine feminine. When we tell people to be in touch with their divine feminine, that does not mean we want to see you in a mini skirt. That does not mean that we think that you should be in some pumps, some heels, baby. That's not what we're talking about. There are qualities and there are characteristics associated with said energy, which we both possess. Men and women. And women, let me tell you guys this too, because a lot of times men say these things, and I'm tired of them with the fuck shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna take this down for 2.5 seconds. I need to be face to face and tell y'all this. Stop allowing men. Now keep in mind, this is a blanket. I'm about to say a blanket statement when it comes down to it. If it fits, wear it, Cinderella. Stop allowing men to tell you guys that you guys are naturally. I'm gonna say they try to use your emotions to their advantage. Oh, women when they have sex, when women when they have sex, when they cheat, we know it's different because it's more emotional. When men cheat, it's not emotional. Stop letting them use that and try to manipulate you guys. The reason being, and the reason why I know that women are able to also have sex and not be emotional, because guess what? There are sex workers that exist. Guess what? Hookup cultures exist. We socialize women to be emotional. We socialize men to not have a heart and lack empathy. Why? Because of a toxic patriarchal system that reinforces and glorifies gender roles that once upon a time was useful and practical, but however, since the current state of society, they're not as useful anymore, depending upon the household and the people within that household. Of course, it made perfect sense for the divine feminine to take care of the children, because guess what? Naturally, women are going to have to stay with the children, because guess what? They have to breastfeed for the most part. And they have to heal. Of course, it made logical sense for the women to take care of the house, because guess what? They couldn't have jobs. And even when they could have jobs, these weren't jobs that were paying something to where she can take care of herself. And this is the reason why I say you have to keep in context. Women could have jobs, but keep in mind there was a gap between what men are being paid and women are being paid, and that gap still exists. And not only that, let's slap on another layer of the conversation. There's also a racial gap in between that bad boy too. Yeah. So of course it made logical sense for the woman to take care of the household, because she wasn't bringing in the big bang. She wasn't bringing in all the money, bringing in cents off a dollar. Of course, it made logical sense for the man to be the provider, because he was the only one that could provide at the time. It made logical sense. Of course, it made sense for the men to, quote unquote, be the protector, because guess what? They were the hunters. They already had the skill set. If they're already hunting and terminating animals for food, why would it make logical sense for them to terminate any type of threats if they already possess the skill set? So we socialize women to be extra emotional, even currently to this day. We literally tell women in cartoons they're princesses, they're submissive, the docile, the helpless. And then guess what? You have a knight in shining armor coming to the rescue. And then we wonder why women expect men to come and save them. We teach women to be submissive, to submit to their men. We teach them to allow the men to be the head of household. We teach them to even having the debate of whether your man should eat first or your children should eat first. It's even a topic at one point in time. We teach them that God, even though he's a deity, he's an energy, the Most High, only possessed masculine male pronouns. Even though Adam came from God, Eve came from Adam, which means that he possessed Adam and Eve. But we wiped away the feminine or female pronouns, kept the male masculine pronouns, and then now we're engaging inside of religions that are highly patriarchal. And the purpose of religion is to sell hope and faith. And now you're looking for hope and faith, and you're looking into a man, aka God, a masculine energy man. And then not only that is reinforced by Yah being male. You're looking to men for your salvation. So now we're sitting up here wondering why, especially in the current state of melanated men, because they have been a target within society, heterosexual men have been a target within society, wondering why women are looking for a man or looking into a man for their potential. Looking, having faith in men, holding on to hope. So that's the reason why a lot of times women don't even break up relationships, because they still have faith and hope. These conversations are much deeper than just the scratching the surface, which is another reason why J-Leethal knew what he was doing when he told Conscious about the 5 minutes. So, him to say this. All right. So, girl, let me bring this bad boy back up. You cannot be a leader if you do not possess those feminine qualities. Put this bad boy up for 2.5 seconds. Yes, ma'am. So we have the feminine qualities: receptive. Come on, receptive, passive, contractive, intuitive, inward. We have the natural feminine, unconditional love, understanding. How can you be a leader? Oh, I'm over here burping. Girl, that was not ladylike. Jesus. How can you be a leader, but you don't have no type of understanding? How can you be a leader and have a household, run a household, and be the head of household that's going to embody various and numerous personalities, various and numerous situations, because everybody leaves the house every day and have their own life going on, have various and numerous traumas depending upon the household and backgrounds, and you don't have the understanding on, or at least having, I'm gonna say this too, take it a step further and kind of give them a little blueprint, and also have the understanding of your ego and knowing when to let it, and knowing when to acknowledge your ego and let it go, so the understanding can flow through. We have nurturing, tenderness, kindness, intuition, creative, lack of imagination is said. You cannot be creative unless you tap into that divine feminine. Feeling. We socialized men up in the Western hemisphere to have lack of emotional intelligence. It goes from, you better not cry, crying is for sissies, you not a real man. And like I said before, not only do men drink from this fountain, women do too, because guess what? Patriarchy, anybody can have access to it. That's all of us, queer men and women too, trans individuals as well, because guess what? The dominant society always gives the blueprint for other marginalized groups. So yes, queer people are not exempt from this, because guess what? There are a lot of heteronormative ways and practices. We have stillness, flow, radiance, surrender. Come on, submissive. And another thing about that too, when it comes to this whole submissive thing, I think the reason why I have a big giant issue with that personally is because I like to pay attention to the language. And the language for me lets me know that this is not no term of, oh, you need to be submissive because this is how a relationship works. This is a term of domination, aka patriarchy. This is under the terms and the guides of this is a control tactic. In the words of Conscious, when we had our private conversation, be submissive to the bullshit. Be submissive to my fuck shit. Be submissive to my wounded masculine. Come on, y'all. This wounded masculine. Be submissive to the wounded masculine, which is my dominance, aggression, control. So for me, when people say that submit and submissive thing, that's a turn up because it lets me know you're not here. It for me, my red flags start to go off. Like my alarms start to go off. Because if this is about a relationship that equally gives and takes, and you guys are a team, it's not about Reckless, can you move your icon for a second? I can screenshot. Oh, okay. Let me move my banner. Hope you talking about this, and let me move the comment as well too. But yes, like, be submissive to the bullshit. Like, and so for me, I feel like if you're going to be a team and this is a relationship and this is a partnership, not a slavery ship, but a partnership, then you're not going to use submit. You're going to use compromise, because that's what people do in a relationship. They compromise for each other. So hopefully you don't screenshot it. I'm pretty sure you have by this point. I'm putting my banner back up. Actually, I'm going to keep it down because I'm going to keep going. Emotional ease, allowing. They want you to surrender and allow. Emotional ease. Now we got the wounded feminine. Victim, powerlessness, weakness, manipulation, withholding, neediness, codependency. And this is a lot. And this is another thing about that codependency. Especially at one point in time, if you actually start to actually talk to our mothers, for some grandmothers, if you have the blessing, or at least you have the stories of, oh, you talking about the other one, girl. Oh, I get what you're saying. You talking about the other thing, girl. Let me take this off. I just understood what you said. Bam, got it. But let me say this. When you start to talk to and you start to go up that family tree, you start to realize that codependency was something very much was a byproduct of being part of the wounded masculine. Reason being because guess what? The men were the head of the household. They were the providers. They were the ones that had the power. Women stayed at home. They worked. They didn't make enough to where they can actually live on their own and also support their family. So the codependency comes into effect to where, yes, women were submissive. Yes, they were wives. Yes, they did follow the rules. But however, when it came down to situations of back in the past, people like J-Leethal, where they thought it was appropriate to physically discipline their women, and also in his eyes, just or unjust, the women decided to stay because of stability. My grandmother went through domestic violence, decided to stay because of stability. Ike Turner, when he beat the hell out of Tina, what he did, he bought some gifts. I'm sorry, bought you something. They stayed because of stability. And also, too, being able to submit and being under this false pretense that this is a team. They're telling me to submit. This is my gender role as a woman to submit to my man. And also having the same philosophy that's telling me to also, keep in mind, also fall in love with faith and hope and hope that things get better. I have faith things are going to get better. So I'm going to stick by his side. oversensitive, over emotional. This one you can become a nervous wreck. Now we have the masculine qualities: projective, active, giving, expansive, outward, natural masculine, confidence, inner strength, responsibility, focus, logical, support, stability, direction, protection. Claire, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was listening to what's her name? Oh, I can't think her name right now. A content creator, and she said that protection is more of a feminine role because that's the reason why they call it mama bear. She actually said, and she said that conquer is actually the masculine, to conquer, which would kind of make sense because men have done nothing but conquer. The colonizers have done nothing but conquer. That's the reason why you have the founding fathers, because they like to conquer. So I was like, it makes sense. Now we have clarity, boundaries, courage, discipline, and he capable, certain, assertive. If you actually pay attention to these roles right here, the natural masculine, and then you actually take into account that the version of what this patriarchy, this mutation of patriarchy is, they're taking the natural masculine roles, but however, they're also inserting and not addressing the wounded masculine that also lives within their hearts. The abuse of power, perpetrator. Every single time they talk about, I'm the protector, but then when it's time for you to protect, you're nowhere to be found. Abuse of power, the dominance that they want, the aggression that they have, the control that they desire to have, as in them thinking they have the right to discipline somebody, when that exact same discipline that's given to them, that's not given to them. Being competitive. And actually, girl, I'm over here preaching tonight. Come on. I'm over here preaching tonight. Actually, I can go a couple of slides back. Let me do this. Fear of competition from followers. And what this thing over here? The wounded masculine, competitive. Fear of competition from followers. The leader who fears that one of his followers, let's once again, let's take into context the leader, the head of household, who fears that one of his family may take his position, and practically sure to realize that the fear sooner or later. The able leader trains understudies to whom he may delegate at will any of the details of his position. Only in the way may a leader multiply himself and prepare himself to be at many places and give attention to many things at one time. It is an eternal truth that men receive more pay for their ability to get others to perform than they could possibly earn by their own efforts. An efficient leader may, through his knowledge of his job and the magnetism, girl, my mouth is dry right now, magnetism of his personality, greatly increase the efficiency of others and induce them to render more service and better service than they could render without his aid. And this is the picture that I used talking about, actually talking about the experiences that Black women actually talk about and express when they are the provider and when they make the money. And there seems to be an insecurity that comes within typically men. Because you're holding on to gender roles that do not fit or serve you. So when you feel like you're not actually fulfilling those gender roles, you feel less than. When you feel like you're not being a provider, you feel less than. When you feel like you're less than, you're not a man because you're not a protector, you feel less than. When you feel like you don't uphold certain beauty standards as a woman, you feel less than. When you feel like you cannot cook, you feel less than. When you feel like you can't clean, even though everybody should be cleaning, there's no shade, you feel less than. When you feel like you can't have a baby or carry child, you feel less than. Forgetting the fact that we're literally If we are complex in our bodies and we're literally boiling our bodies down to just practical roles and completely dismissing the complexity and the nuance of our and the mystery of our existence, of course you're not gonna feel. Of course you're gonna feel less than. Of course you're gonna feel less than. There are more purposes in this world than, guess what, having a baby. Because guess what? If that's not what you want to do, you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. There are a plethora of children that's literally in the foster care children. There are a plethora of children that have been left for dead. There are a plethora of children on the side of the road homeless as of right now. There are more purposes in life. People, I want a legacy. I want a legacy. And I was watching the content creator, High Power Podcast. That's her name. Now with her, I can take the meat, spit out the bones, personally. A guy came up there to me, I want a legacy. Your legacy is not your children. And I've been saying that for the longest. Your legacy is not your children. And the example that was given on that particular panel is that when it comes down to legacy, when it comes to Martin Luther King and his legacy, we don't talk about his children. When it comes down to Malcolm X and his legacy, we don't talk about his children. When it comes down to Rosa Parks, we don't talk about her children when it comes down to her legacy. When it comes down to all of these figures that are within history that we know about, we don't talk about their children when we speak of their legacy. When we speak of their legacy, we're talking about the impact that they actually had on the world. So there's more purposes in this life than these quote unquote gender roles. And I said it once, I'm going to say it again. It does not make any sense. You are a grown adult. And by the way, what I'm about to say is about to be gender neutral. You are a grown adult. I'm Reckless Logic. I'm not going to rely on a man or a woman to cook or clean for me, because guess what? I can do that myself. Now, keep in mind, I cannot cook. But however, I have no problem learning. I'm not going to rely on somebody to be my protector, because guess what? I can protect myself. Especially in the state, melanated women, y'all are just about protecting yourselves. No shade. Yes, I would love the luxury of having somebody have my back, but however, baby, I have my own back at this point, and you should. Me as Reckless Logic, I'm not gonna rely on my partner to take care of my children, because guess what? Those are my children as well too. And not only that, they are children. So we also should not demonize people for being with other individuals who already have children, if that's what they want to do. Now, you could probably give up some precautions, like, okay, are you sure you're ready for that? That may be a task that I don't know you're ready for, because it may come with different experiences that you may not be equipped for. But let's not try to act like we're quote unquote these leaders, but yet you possess and also showcase and display actions that say otherwise. Girl. Okay, I done did all that. Girl, I done did all that. Okay, here we go, right here. So yes, so that's the issue when it comes down to the masculine, the possession of these particular individuals who harp so much on the masculine. They can possess all of the natural masculine and all the masculine qualities, but however, they are not addressing the wounded masculine that live within their hearts, that dwell between their hearts. Baby, unstable emotionally, baby, unstable. You deflect avoidance, aka when it's time for you to be accountable, that avoidance comes up. Abuse, because you think you have the right to discipline somebody, the abuse. But baby, Girl, I done did all that, girl. Now, I should take this down for 2.5 seconds. Girl, I went in a whole rant right there, girl. I went in a whole rant right there, girl. Girl. And keep in mind, I was on the pick me for the longest. Now I got to get to the other one. Girl, this is going to be a long video, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it, y'all. And I also want to say this too, guys. I want to say thank you guys for everybody who has supported me. When it comes down to the GoFundMe, y'all, I'm still transitioning, y'all. Not actually transition as in trans person, transitioning because, you know, everything that happened with my family and, you know, now I have to find another job and other stuff. So I would still love to receive donations for the GoFundMe to kind of keep track, or the Cash App or whatever. But I really do appreciate everybody who has donated. I know a lot of times when people do donate, I don't be live. I'm not live. So a lot of times I like to send back a heart to let you know I really do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so very much. But let me say this. Thank you, guys. Thank you. But let me say this, though. Girl, let me say this, baby. Now, Andrea she hit the panel. Now, when she hit the panel, her and Conscious were going back and forth, baby. He did not want Andrea to say anything. Now, keep in mind, I was on the panel with Andrea, and I'm gonna be honest. Now, she did say she was black. Well, she was an Israelite. I know that for a fact. Now, I do remember. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I do believe she did mention and say that because I don't want to lie on her. I do believe that she did mention and say that she's an Israelite and she is something Mexican. Something like that. I forgot. Now, when it comes down to the whole race thing of knowing who's black, who's not, who's obviously besides, you know, certain features or something, knowing who's quote unquote can say the N-word or not, I'm not too well versed in that. But however, I can most definitely do a live on that, and we could probably look at some documentaries. We could probably have a conversation about it. I don't know. So I didn't get into that conversation of trying to police whether or not she can say something or not, because I didn't know. And for me, I don't like to make an ass of myself. But however, Conscious on the other hand, he didn't give a fuck about none of that. So when she tried to actually say something, when he was addressing Kay, baby, he shut that down real quick. Excuse me, your melanin does not afford you to talk to me. Shush. You talk to J-Leethal. You don't speak to me. I was like, oh, okay, girl. Especially when you was coming up here to windmill for patriarchy, for massa. So yeah, you don't talk to me. I wasn't mad at it. I was willing to have a conversation with her, but I wasn't mad at it. Not at all. Now, another thing that I did, because girl, even after the point, she proved us right when basically she literally got on the panel, windmilled for massa, windmilled for patriarchy because of their religious backgrounds. Because of that, well, you know, that's the gag of it all. And what I'm about to say probably gonna be a little ignorant, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. That's the gag of it all. How are y'all religious and y'all follow Christ, y'all follow the Bible, but yet y'all literally treat other people the exact same way the religious people in the past, like at the time where Christ was actually living, or where they thought he had lived. Those religious people back then, that's the way they treated Christ. That's the gag of it all. And then J-Leethal, now I don't know if he just misspoke, but he most definitely said that he come as Moses. So I was like, so you come as Moses, but you follow Christ? That's the gag of it all. This is stuff I pay attention to. I don't know about y'all, but I pay attention to this type of stuff. I'm like, you come as Moses, but you follow Christ? Okay. You Hebrew and you supposed to follow Christ, but you what? You calling people witches? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Apparently, y'all don't know Christ for real, for real. I'm just saying. But I digress. Now, with Andrea, here's the thing. Andrea, when I was on the panel, now keep in mind, I was there to have the conversation. I was there to windmill my ass up. So when Conscious was ready to go, I was like, okay, I'll see y'all later. I'll stay here for a second because I was ready to still gather I was ready to still gather a few more bodies. I wasn't done. For me, I already had windmilled on J-Leethal. But however, I wanted Kay and I wanted Andrea. And I also wanted anybody else that came up on that panel. I wanted Tahiti. I think it's Tahiti. Because I do not want to disrespect this man's name. Tahiti. And I also wanted Arman Raw. I was calling out names. So I stayed after. And even with me speaking, and let me say this too. Because my other point is already written down, so I'm gonna remember that. But let me say this while it's on my mind. I don't want to forget this because because this is something that's been irking my soul. Because I see this a lot. Now I do understand that the attention span of people can be very short. But however, when people enter certain conversations that's very complex and it does not require a yes or no, and it requires physical explanation, metaphysical explanation, aside looking through the lens of psychology, looking through the lens of sociology. If you're going to do all that, these things do not require a short answer to really drive your point home. So when you get on panels and you're not keeping up with anything that the person is saying, and I know that's only used as a deflective tactic, really you really make yourself look like an ass. Don't try to call things word salad when people speak. Especially when you're speaking on a topic that's very complex. Because what's going to happen is, if I give you just a basic answer, guess what's going to happen? You're going to ask a question, I'm going to answer it. You're going to ask a question, I'm going to answer it. They're going to ask a question, you're going to answer it. And then guess what? You're going to ask another question, but that same question, that question that you literally just asked, is the exact same question that I answered the first time. So yeah, you need to listen and you need to allow me to really bring it home. So yeah, that was the whole thing with that. I was like, because every time I would speak, or every time Conscious would speak, they'd be like, what? Huh? Who? That don't make no sense. He's talking too long. Mute him. But you're not listening. And you're letting people know that you're just stupid. I was going to say, I'm sorry. When I be on platforms, I be trying to be politically correct. But you're letting people know that you're stupid. Like, you're letting people know you're not equipped to have these conversations. You're snitching on yourself. You're literally snitching on yourself. I'm a leader. I know all of these things. But however, when we start to get a little bit deeper and start to scrape the surface on these issues, I cannot keep up. Oh my God. What you mean? Women can also use patriarchy. What? Drools from mouth. Slobbers from mouth. Scratches head, scratches ass. Looks like deer in headlights. That's what y'all look like. That's why listening is fundamental in having understanding. Okay, so yes, now let me get to the. Okay, so when it came down to Andrea, y'all, when she was speaking with me, and I do believe that she was being honest, and I'm gonna say, and I could be wrong, I'm gonna say personally, when she was asking me this question, I don't feel like she was being malicious, but what she said is that in the midst of me speaking, she literally asked me if being Black is already a big issue and already has their experiences, and they already have all these different things. Why would you want to make it worse by choosing to be gay? I'm like, here we go. Here we go. And I'm not saying here we go because it's like now, bitch, like now I gotta take it there. Now I gotta take. I'm not even doing that. I'm saying here we go because this is the gaslighting behavior I'm just using this as an example. But this is the gaslighting behavior that happens. Because the simple fact of, whenever we are here to have a conversation about a specific topic, our sexual orientation always seems to come up, or gender identity seems to come up. That had nothing to do with the conversation. But however, the lack of knowledge when it comes down to different power systems, different intersections that people have within their life, and also the knowledge of gender identity and sexual orientation, people use certain things as a deflective tactic or defense. As in them asking me, or Conscious, because it happens a lot, asking us, questioning our sexual orientation, and at times gender identity, depending upon if a person is trans or not, when it comes down to in defense for women. And the gag of it all is like, y'all do understand that having sex with women is not the only interaction you're going to have with a woman. And that right there is the patriarchy within itself, because that lets us know that your only value in other women is sex. Like, y'all completely dismiss that people do have sisters. You completely dismiss that people do have cousins, female cousins. You completely dismiss that we do have female teachers. Yeah, like there are other interactions with women besides just sexual. So yes, I've watched my aunties go through BS. I've watched my mother go through BS. I've watched my grandmother, etc., go through BS, and I've listened to the experiences. So yes, I can speak on certain things because I've seen it. I've heard it. I've separated my own household from it. Literally, when they are throwing blows. But that's the lack of knowledge on their behalf, on the other people's behalf. Now, this we're gonna get to the girl. I was over there preaching, girl. All right, but okay, so I actually wanted to do this. Let me do this. I actually wanted to do this, baby. Because now we're going to talk about the sociological aspect of things. Because people were really confused when it came down to explaining all of these different types of power systems. So for me, I have a sociology book and I also have a psychology book. But for me, at times, I've been slacking when it comes down to actually reading these bad boys consistently. But since I always make videos, and then plus I'm always on panels, I think it would have been effective for me to implement these aspects on my videos. So that's what we're gonna do, baby. So this is the actual psychology book that I have. It's called the Psychology Book, Big Ideas Simply Explained. This is a PowerPoint, y'all. You know, I love a nasty piece of PowerPoint. Yes, ma'am. So let me actually do this real quick. Let me make this bigger, girl. Let me get my shit together. So yes, so the sociology book, Big Ideas Simply Explained. Sociology. So sociology is a social science that focuses on society, human social behavior, patterns of social relationships, social interaction, and aspects of culture associated with everyday life. Girl, my tongue was tied. Baby, my tongue was tied. Because here's the thing, we cannot have these issues, like talk about issues of patriarchy, which involves community of people and how we operate. And we can't talk about feminists. We can't talk about racism, homophobia, trans. We can't talk about any of those things without actually looking through the lens of how we socialize, how we're programmed, how we operate through life. So yeah, we're going to get into it, baby. So let's actually get into hegemonic masculinity. So let's actually get into it, baby. So hegemonic masculinity, as described by R.W. Cornell, girl. By the way, y'all know I butcher words, so that's why I gotta have y'all look at it. Okay, Cornell. I'm gonna call it C. I'm gonna say Con. Come on, Con, because I'm probably butchering it. Is the idea that a dominant, socially constructed form of masculinity exists, which is culturally exalted above other expressions of masculinity as well as femininity. Okay, so what that means is with hegemonic masculinity, what that means is that there's a power system or power tactics that's used to classify and also put people within and order them when it comes down to a hierarchy. What that means is because of hegemonic masculinity, the more masculine you are, the higher you are in the hierarchy. But however, the more feminine you are, but you're still masculine, but the more feminine you are, the lower on that totem pole you're going to be. But however, since you're a woman, doesn't matter how feminine that guy is, the man is, you're still going to be lower than him because of other power systems. So, baby, let's get into it. So, yes, this is what the books look like. Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to read the top. It says, men's interest in patriarchy is considered in hegemonic masculinity. So I'm going to read the middle part. It says, patriarchy is a power system, and right beside it says, hegemonic masculinity is a power system. Now it says, with patriarchy, that empowers men and enables their domination of women. And keep in mind, too, this has a basic understanding when it comes down to sociology, and when it comes down to the dynamic of different systems. So for me, I will be going in and out when it comes down to also adding more context, because especially when I get into the feminist era, I have to also add in context of the distinction between white feminists and melanated women. Okay, so yes, the domination of women or the divine feminine, because keep in mind too, the reason why I say the divine feminine, because of patriarchy, queer people also are affected. So anything feminine, but we're going to use women for purposes. Now, it says that with the hegemonic masculinity that ranks male, aka men, above those who display feminine traits. Now, it says patriarchy and hegemonic masculinity above both value and empower men above women. Right under that, it says men's interest in patriarchy is condensed in hegemonic masculinity. Girl, this is gonna be interesting, baby. This is gonna be interesting. What's going on, Paul? On Purple Lover? What's going on? What's going on, everybody in the chat? Baby, this is gonna be interesting. Let me see. Let me see. Can I take myself down? Because actually, I gotta read this. Actually, no, I'll leave it up. Actually, no, I want y'all to see it. Let's see. Can I do it like this? Nah. I think this would be a bit better. Actually, no. I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna take my better down and everything. Actually, no, we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do it like this. All right, so let me actually get straight into it, baby. Let me get straight into it. Yodeling. Okay, so we have the first page. I'm gonna read it out, y'all. So we have it is often assumed that masculinity is a natural biological state that cannot be altered. Now, the person is R.W. Con, but it's Cornell. Y'all already know I butcher people's names, y'all. So we're gonna say Con claims, however, that is not a fixed thing, but an acquired identity. There is no one pattern of masculinity that is found everywhere or over any extended period of time. And she says we should speak about masculinities, not masculinity, when exploring what it means to be a man. In quotation marks, y'all. Masculinity also has multiple definitions within multicultural societies. In any one setting, such girl, I'm over here reading fast, baby. Come on, let's get it together. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, in any one setting, such as a school or workplace, a particular form of masculinity will be seen as the best and most effective way to be a man. I want to make sure I'm not losing my point, y'all. This idea lies behind Kahn's concept of hegemonic masculinity, which claims that in any time or place, different forms of masculinity are organized in a hierarchy. Remember, I just told you guys this, labeled in a hierarchy. The dominant form, seen as the ideal masculinity and put on a pedestal, y'all, and the others will be judged against is the hegemonic form. So what they're saying is that the most toxic, the most dominant form of this particular form, the most dominant form of masculinity is going to be the ideal, but everything else below that is going to be the hegemonic. Everything has a structure, and I'm using that loosely and in quotation marks. It shouldn't, but I guess. Hegemonic masculinity, which claims that in any time or place, different forms of masculinity are organized into a hierarchy. The dominant form, seen as the ideal masculinity, and the one others would be judged against, is the hegemonic form. It will constitute that society's idea of manliness, and those few men who can embody this form of masculinity will be the most honored and desired. I'm going to read that again, the last part. It will constitute that society's idea of manliness, and those few men who can embody this form of masculinity will be the most honored and desired. Baby. And also, this will have to add more context. This conversation even goes deeper. It goes deeper because of the fact of we also have to factor in, because we're having a melanated context, and colonization does play a part in everything that we do, whether we want to realize it or not. Since we also have to add in colorism, this whole idea of colorism, the idea of if a man in particular, if he's dark skinned, he's deemed to be more masculine. If he's light skinned, lighter tone and skin complexion, he's deemed to be more feminine. That's why there's a running theme that goes on when it comes down to light skinned men, that they're pretty boys. Oh, you think you're a pretty boy, or there are videos of light skinned men being clowned for quote unquote not being a man or not being as tough. These are the things. All right, so now we have subordinate masculinity. Let's get into it. Subordinate or marginalized forms of masculinity are those that deviate from the norm. Men espousing these suffer humiliation, here we go, exclusion and loss of privilege. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say it again. Men espousing these suffer humiliation, exclusion, and loss of privilege. Having having a particular masculinity, you will lose privilege. And this is the exact example of how you literally have men talk about their experience, especially those who may not be as quote unquote manly, and talk about how their experiences are just about as similar as queer people. All right, so it says, when the masculine role moves towards a more female position, aka as in homosexuality, there is a corresponding loss of status and power. And here we go. I was just saying it. In this way, the patriarchal position aligns with the hegemonic ideal in Western societies, as men reap significant benefits from maintaining dominance over women or the divine feminine. Their general interest and investment in patriarchy is formidable. It is what gives them social, cultural, and economic control. The closer a man's masculinity is to the hegemonic ideal, the more power he has. Now we got this next one. We got practicing gender. So Kahn claims that the European American hegemonic form, which is linked closely to the patriarchal idea of the powerful, aggressive. Come on, y'all. These are the characteristics that's coming up. The powerful, aggressive, unemotional male who will often use violence to get his way is being extended across the world through processes of globalization. Come on, globalization. The media glamorizes the hegemonic ideal through its adulation of ruthless billionaire entrepreneurs and fit contact sports stars. Women are complicit in recognizing a hierarchy of masculinities according to Khan. Their continued loyalty to patriarchal religions and romantic narratives and their perpetuation of gender expectations of children. Come on, we preaching now. We preaching. You know what I feel like? And keep in mind, y'all, I like to do these like the little breaks in between just so I don't really talk y'all ear all the way off, like reading from the book. I feel like one of them pastors when I be talking and I be reading and I be like, read, and I read a like, I read a line, and after I read a line, I say stop, and I just repeat it. Girl, that's the key. But let me finish. Patriarchal religions and romantic narratives and their perpetuation of gender expectations of children sustains the power of the patriarchal ideal and the hegemonic masculinity associated with it. By describing masculinity within the terms of hegemony and hierarchy, or hierarchy, my fault, Khan grants it a fluidity, which means that there is an opportunity for change, a move to establish a version of masculinity that is open to equality with women, she says, would constitute a positive hegemony. Girl, that was girl. And this is the stuff that we literally talk about all the time on the panel. Girl, my mouth is dry. But this is stuff that we talk about all the time on the panel. All the freaking time. All the time on the panel. Girl, you already know we're finna get into patriarchy. You already know we have to get into patriarchy because people don't understand what patriarchy is. They understand it, but they don't understand it. Since people like to be so logical, why would I'll bring a book to you. Bring some facts to you. Here we go. Patriarchy, a system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it. Or, if not women, the divine feminine. Anything that's feminine. Now, let me get to this bad boy. So now we got the concept of patriarchy is indispensable for an analysis of gender inequality. Girl, my mouth is dry, girl. Let me get to reading. Girl, how you doing? My name is Charlie Wilson. Okay. In 1990, the British psychologist Sylvia Walby, I'm going to say Sylvia W. because, girl, I'm a Walby, girl, published Theorizing Patriarchy, a groundbreaking book that claims patriarchy is a highly complex phenomenon. Like I said before, you cannot talk about these complex issues and expect a yes or no. It's a complex phenomenon made up of many intersecting forces, whereas earlier feminists had focused on identifying a single cause. Girl, here we go. A single cause of patriarchy linked to a particular historical era or culture. W. Walby, every time I see her name, I be wanting to say Wally. Walby defines patriarchy as a system of social structures and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women. Or the divine feminine, y'all. She claims there are 6 interacting structures that family household, paid work, the state, male violence, sexuality, and cultural institutions. To examine, here we go, y'all. To examine, like you guys see here at the top, I'm reading it out to y'all. Like you guys see here at the top, it says in the middle box, that pink box that has all the arrows going to those other black boxes. It says here, patriarchy is a system of social structures and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women through, and then gives you paid work, the family household, the state, male violence, cultural institutions, and attitudes to sexuality. Let's actually talk about those things. Paid work. We literally talked about how there's a pay gap when it comes down to men and women. There's a pay gap. And let's also add more context. It's more of a pay gap when it comes down to melanated men and women. The household. You must submit. You must be the head of household. He must be the head of household. When it comes down to the state, Roe v. Wade, always having legislation over women's bodies, always having to say so whether women should stay, go, vote, not vote, stay at the house, have a job. Male violence. We literally talk about how women, the male privilege is what I said earlier. Male privilege is literally me walking outside and me not having to worry because I live in a patriarchy and being sexually assaulted because I am male. Women worry about that when they go out late at night. I don't, but women do. That's the privilege. This is the male violence that they're talking about. Because you are women and you are looked at as feminine, or you embody femininity. And since we live in a patriarchy, and the more masculinity that you possess, or the more masculinity that you look up to, the lower on the totem pole, which is the feminine, the weaker that you are. Which is the reason why when you go outside and you're a woman and you embody femininity, or you're just a woman in general, guess what? They look at you as an easy target because guess what? You're feminine. Alrighty. Cultural institutions. We talk about religion. We talk about all of these institutions that literally let and indoctrinate the patriarchal philosophies. Attitudes towards sexuality, thinking that you have the rights to women's bodies, thinking that what a woman wears is quote unquote considered consent. This is all rooted in patriarchy. So let me finish reading what I was reading, girl. So it says, these six structures, Walby looks back through the struggles and work of previous feminists. Now, here we go, y'all. We're going to go to the first wave of feminism, baby. Girl. You know, I feel like one of them teachers, girl. First wave of feminism. Now, keep in mind, this feminism is for the white woman. But however, I'm going to add some context if I need to. Okay, got you. So, Walby notes that the first wave of feminism in the 19th and early 20th centuries in Europe and the U.S. focused on the private rather than the public nature of patriarchy. At this time, she says, married women were excluded from paid employment, so patriarchal domination occurred mainly within the family. Come on, this is what I was talking about when it came to the grandmothers. They weren't allowed to work, so a lot of times when they had to deal with abuse, they didn't have the stability or the resources to leave. Where it was the man in his position as husband or father who was the direct oppressor and beneficiary of the subordination of women. The idea of domestic. Ooh, girl, you went down. I lost my damn spot. Okay, the idea of domesticity intensified during this era. Middle-class women were confined to the private sphere. They were denied the right to vote and own property. And this is another reason why when it comes down to arranged marriages, girl, my mouth is dry. I need to get some water. When it comes down to arranged marriages, this is the reason why when it came down to arranged marriages, women really had to dig deep when it comes down to beauty standards. They wanted to make themselves more appealing to a man, which is one of the reasons why they wore lipstick, which is one of the reasons why they probably possess skill sets like cooking and cleaning and make themselves, quote unquote, have more value to attract a certain mate who possessed, guess what? Resources, who provided. Come on, yes, come on, yes, ma'am. Or, okay, so to own property or to gain higher level education, and violence by husbands was legally sanctioned. Come on, y'all. Come on. So the violence was legally sanctioned to be abused by your husband, because guess what? You weren't considered human, you was considered property. The first way feminists address these issues on a legal level, but Walby maintains that the significant rights they won for women failed to eliminate all forms of inequality. This was because the family and the household continued to function effectively as a patriarchal mode of production. Patriarchy within the household is the first of Walby's 6 patriarchal structures. It undervalues the work of housewives, aka as unpaid labor. And you actually see this when men start to come on the panel when it comes down to Conscious, and they literally talk about their wives and talk about if their wives don't do this, they don't have no value, or even when the wives do actually fulfill those roles of cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, it's not appreciated. While apparently valuing them only within the role, aka this was women's rightful place, this is what they're saying. And this is another thing too. If you actually pay attention to what it's saying in this book, what did J-Leethal kept saying? These women are getting out of line. Slap them, discipline them, and make them go. Put them back in place. Put them in their rightful place. Walby points out that in Marty's terms, housewives are the producing class, while husbands, here we go, y'all. Girl, my mouth is dry, girl. Ooh, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Oh Lord. Oh shit. Yeah, so while husbands are the class that benefits individually and directly from women's unpaid labor. Women within capitalism. Now this is gonna get interesting. By the 20th century, capitalism had become the dominant global economic model. As capitalism grew, women lost forms of work, come on y'all, that had once been open to them. Ooh, in textiles, for instance, through the growth of industrialization, they moved into a position that was disadvantaged in 2 ways. Vertical segregation, being offered employment only in the lower grades of work, and horizontal segregation, being seen as suitable only for particular areas of work. For this reason, Walby proposes that patriarchal relations in paid work, which give men the highest opportunities in jobs available and level of employment, constitute the second of the 6 structures that maintain patriarchy. And this is what I'm talking about this is when you see when you enter a lot of different workspaces or different industries and you do not see a lot of women being present. And typically when you see a lot of these women being present, a lot of times they have to assimilate to masculinity or the masculine role to be considered quote unquote acceptable, when a lot of times that doesn't always have to be the case. Now, however, Walby notes that in the 20th century, an interesting conflict began to arise between patriarchy and capitalism because they had rival interests in the exploitation of women's labor. As she says, if women are working for capitalists, they have less time to work for their husband. Conflicts between patriarchy in the home and in the workplace are often been resolved through the intervention of Walby's third patriarchal structure, the state. Say go get something to drink. I'm gonna wait patiently. Girl, hold on. Give me 2.5 seconds. Let me go get some water. Ooh. Oh, girl, I'm back. Oh, girl, I was thirsty. Even after all that, I got me some crackers too. Girl. Thank you for looking out for me, baby. Okay, now where the hell was I? Okay, yeah. Often be resolved through the intervention of Walby's third patriarchal structure, the state. For example, during World War II, British women were needed to work in. Now here we go. Like I said, y'all, we're gonna keep melanated context. Now, the reason why I have no problem talking about feminism, even though we're still melanated, because even though people have always argued that feminism was initially supposed to be for all women because all women were being disrespected, but however, since racism still existed, black women were kicked to the side, kicked to the curve. But however, the women's suffrage movement, which was meant for black women and operated by melanated women, that's a direct receipt that even though there was a racial divide, all demographic of women were dealing with the same issues. It had the same issues and the same problems. So this is the perfect example. Grasp the message, leave out the specifics. Yes, ma'am. Be honest, I'm gonna skip some of this because girl, this is okay. There we go. I'm gonna start the next one. In the West, the state has also intervened to enhance women's rights, such as the 1970 Equal Pay Act in the UK. However, many of the apparent gains have led to little change in practice. This is something that we still see today when women are not getting paid as the same as men. And keep in mind, there's a racial gap as well. So that's even worse, depending upon what your race is. With women still earning less than men, Wabi says that this is because the state is a site of patriarchal relations, which is necessary for patriarchy as a whole. She notes that there has been important changes in state policy over the last 150 years, but these also include some very significant limitations. So even when you have a situation where women are in these spaces, but however, they also do not have the positions of power to employ a lot of people. Same way we all understand that there are a lot of melanated men in the NFL. But however, there's not a lot of melanated men that actually own any NFL teams to employ more melanated people to the top ranks. Same thing. And the thing says the state is still patriarchal as well as capitalist and racist. She says, come on. She over here putting her foot on racism. I know that's right. Yes, ma'am. Now, I don't know if this is a white woman or a black woman. I don't know. So now here we go. Male violence and sexuality. The fourth of Walby's 6 structures is male violence against women. Domestic violence includes controlling and threatening behavior and violence or abuse between intimate partners or family members. Come on, J-Leethal. These intimate relationships are powerful, are power structured, as in the case with all patriarchal 6 structures, and work through a set of arrangements whereby one person is controlled by another. I done lost my damn spot. Men's violence or threatened violence against women plays an important part in the continuing control and domination of women. The 5th of the structures is sexuality. Walby says that the society's prize heterosexual relationships above all others, in many cases seeing them as the only permissible option. Sexuality is a major area in which men exercise domination of women. They impose their ideas of femininity onto women and have constructed sexual practice. You know, I have said that, and I think I got some flack for saying that. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I don't think I got flack for real, but I most definitely did. I feel like I got flack in people's hearts and in people's minds. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Hold up, y'all. Water break. Oh, girl. Jeez, that was delicious. Now I know I got some flack for that. When I literally said, I said a lot of times when women try to assimilate to femininity, a lot of times because women have been socialized to follow the lead of a man and attract men. Girl, I done did all that. I'm not even on the right page, girl, for y'all. You did all that. But since, oh, girl, now I'm pressing the wrong thing, girl. But since, bam, there we go. But since, yeah, there we go. Yeah, but since like women have been socialized to follow the lead of a man or always have to attract men, a lot of times women, they're like Barbie dolls in a sense. Like they have been told to do this. They are naturally like, okay, you like pink? Oh, I like pink. Oh, you like this? Oh, I like this. You want to cook? Oh, I want to cook now. So a lot of times I had made the statement saying that sometimes when women say they try to assimilate the femininity, when you start to scrape the surface of why they want to assimilate to certain things, what does it benefit them? And a lot of times I like to hear them speak. It comes from a place of you're doing it not for yourself, you're doing it for somebody else. And so I'm just gonna leave that there because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. All right, so with that being said, because girl, y'all gonna get me in trouble. Unto women, and they have constructed sexual practices that revolve around male notions of desire. Wabi points out that the second wave of feminists in the 1960s and to the 1980s looked at the wider range of unofficial inequalities than the first wave feminists. They acquired sexuality, the family, the workplace, and reproductive rights. Although some present-day third wave feminists have criticized them for unfinished business. Girl, you know, always knows always gonna be somebody not happy. What the hell you do? I know that's right. However, when oppressive laws on sexuality were abolished, some of them hard-won changes became traps for women. Sexual liberty led to the mainstreaming of pornography and increased exploitation of women in prostitution, the sex industry, and human trafficking. Ooh, come on. Let me turn the next page so y'all can make sure I get this. And also human trafficking. Now I'm gonna read the little caption of the little picture up here. Is the automobile industry has a long history of using women as sex objects to sell cars, despite the deeply tenuous. Damn, where the fuck am I? Oh yeah, deeply tenuous link to the product, poisoning them. Positioning them as a focus of male fantasy and desire. Girl, I need some glasses too. Girl, let me get it together. Let me see. All right, so it's the last of Wabi's 6 structures. Now, you keep in mind, y'all, I'm on this other paragraph. I'm not reading that little caption no more, even though I can barely see that bad boy. But we're going to get through it. We're going to thug it out. The last of Wabi's 6 structures is culture, specifically as society's cultural institutions. She claims that the patriarchal permits key social institutions and agents of socialization in society, including education, religion, and the media, all of which create the representation of women within a patriarchal gaze. The world's religions, for example, continue to exclude women from the top positions and seem determined to restrict them to the caring rather than executive level. So funny. Even in the conversation that we had on the panel, even when the women were speaking, they were talking about how women were not supposed to be the head of household. Women were not supposed to lead. Women were supposed to be the caring and take care of the family. This is the language that they were using. This, they say, is more natural. Come on, I just kept reading. It's more natural for them. And the natural is in quotation marks, y'all. Women are thereby defined from a patriarchal viewpoint and kept firmly, quote unquote, in their place in the words of J-Leethal. Now, here we go. Ooh, girl, I'm about to knock my thing over, girl. Let me get it over here. Girl, I'm about to knock my mic over. Now it says a shift It says a shift to public patriarchy. The notions of private and public patriarchy are important for Walby in distinguishing of the ways in which power structures intersect to affect women. She points out, for example, that British women of Afro-Caribbean origin are more likely to experience public patriarchy, which is aka finding it hard to gain higher paid employment. For instance, while British Muslim women are more likely to experience higher levels of private patriarchy, aka affecting their abilities to leave the house or choose their preferred form of dress. Like you see, it's even in different cultures. Okay, here we go. Look, I'm over here learning the public and the private. Yes, ma'am. I just didn't know how the hell to label it. Yes, ma'am. All right, it says, since writing Theorizing Patriarchy, Walby has noted that while conventional wisdom sees that the family as still central to women's lives, it has become less important. However, this has resulted, she suggests, in women working more, shifting them from the realms of private patriarchy into greater levels of public patriarchy. Women in the West are now exploited less by individual patriarchs, such as their fathers and husbands, and more by men collectively via work, the state, and cultural institutions. And we see this all the time. We see this all the time. Roe v. Wade. We see this all the time with the wage gap. We see this all the time by all the fuck shit they be doing, and we see this all the time even by religion, and by the way that they want, and by the cultures that want women to carry out certain gender roles. Now it says, central to Walby's examination of patriarchy is her insistence that we see patriarchy neither as purely structural, aka which would lock women into subordinate positions within cultural institutions, nor as pure agency, aka the actions of the individual men and women. She says that if we see patriarchy as fundamentally about structure, we are in danger of seeing women as passive victims. Ooh, come on. She about to touch up on something. Girl, she down. Okay, she continues. On the other hand, if we see women as locked into patriarchy through their own voluntary actions, we see them as concluding with their patriarchal oppressors, aka pick-me's and mammies. That's the actual name you guys give them. Y'all said it, I didn't. Now the last paragraph, and I might read the last paragraph. In Theorizing Patriarchy, Walby gives an account of patriarchy that explains both changes in structure, such as changes in the capitalistic economy, and the agency, aka the campaigns of the three waves of feminists. She says major shifts must be made both within women themselves and by the society and cultures that surround them if we are to make meaningful progress. Girl, my mouth is dry. What a break. Oh, Lord. Girl. Oh, Lord. Come on. Me over here reading, and it's over here giving us a summarization of what the hell they was talking about and all the trigger language they had. I know that's right. So, yes. Now, this particular section, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's one particular section I do want to read when it comes down to the feminist and intersectionality. But I do want to continue, though. Once again, we're going to add context. The context is that feminism was originally for all women, but however, we understand that the white hoes, they kicked melanated people out. So womanism and feminism and womanism, same movement, just for two different demographic of people. Both are receipts that women were going through distress when it came down to dealing with men having and upholding power. All right, so feminism, a broad term to refer to a perspective and a movement that recognizes and opposes patriarchy, aka the male dominance of society, and the and that argues for the rights of women. There are a range of different types of feminists, all of whom have different approaches to the issue. Intersectionality. The concept serves to highlight how various biological, social, religious, and categorization interact with one another. Girl, just gotta, girl, my articulation, girl. Let me get together. Now, keep in mind, I'm not gonna read all of this, but I do want to read this little small graph right here, because these graphs right here is a big giant indicator just about what's gonna be going on. So I do want to read that bad boy. Let me just get that bad boy going, girl. Let me get that bad boy going. Look at that bad boy. All right, so as you guys see, first things first, it actually says here in the bottom, the green bubble, it says that white women have been complicit in this imperialistic, white supremacist, capitalistic patriarchy. But however, right above that big giant green bubble, you have the three bubbles. Now, I'm going to start from left to right. But however, right above that says white women. So we have white women, and then you go down below, you can start on the right bubble. It says so white women do not experience the same intersectionality of oppressive forces as black women. We already know this. Come on, they already adding context. I don't have to do it. So may not recognize it. I'm gonna say this too, y'all. Obviously, y'all know I'm not doing this for the people that get it. But however, you never know the type of men. And by the way, that's why I got to make sure my titties sitting up right. You never know the type of men that might come through my live. And you don't know the type of queer people that may come through my live that also uphold patriarchy and don't understand the misogyny and all those things. We got to teach them, baby. We have to teach them too, okay? So the second bubble, the middle bubble, it says white women do not wish to be seen as unfeminine, aka a fear of breaking away from patriarchy's gender roles. The last in the right bubble, it says white women have a vested interest in exploiting class and race privileges so they can be freed from dirty work. Look at that heifer standing on the backs of other people just so she can't do the shit that she need to do. Ain't that about a bitch? I know that's right. All right, so let me see. System. Well, they already talked about that. Rules of patriarchy, privileges, and politics. Actually, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that one. That's gonna be something. We already talked about the hierarchy. We already talked about all that, girl. Girl, I should. You know what? You know what's so funny? And this is so interesting is that my mom literally told me I should be a teacher. Like, she told me a pastor. And I was like, pastor, girl? I don't mind being no pastor. But she was like, you know what? If not a pastor, you be a teacher. And look at me over here, low-key teaching. Come on, look at God. I praise him. We already talked about that. Okay, I want to talk about the privilege and politics. That's what I want to talk about. Then we're going to be done with this video, okay? So privilege and politics. Women with multiple social privileges, aka such as being white, heterosexual, and wealthy, come on, intersectionalities, may see a situation as demonstrating just one form of oppression rather than the intersectionality of many different types of oppression. This may be due in part to ignorance. Hooks suggests. So I'm assuming Hooks, let me see. I'm assuming Hooks is the person in charge of when it comes down to breaking down. Oh, yep, Bell Hooks is a U.S. social activist and scholar. Okay, so yes. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Rather than the intersectionality of many different types of oppression, this may be due in part to ignorance, Hooks suggests. In the town of which she grew up, black people frequently traveled to the white district to work, but white people did not visit her neighborhood. They had no knowledge or experience of that world at all. That's the privilege. The privileges is any privilege that you have. If you really want to have an understanding of how do you have a privilege, what is your privilege? Is you not being able to experience or have certain experiences. That is the privilege. The privilege that you don't have the knowledge. You don't have the knowledge because you didn't experience it, and you have the privilege because you didn't experience it. Period. All right, so I got the last paragraph. Then, girl, we're gonna get the hell up out of here because girl, we ain't gonna be here all motherfucking day. All right, so it's, in addition, according to Hooks, some women tend to shun identification with any political movement, especially one that is considered radical, or they do not wish to be associated with a women's rights movement of any form. This fear of being seen to join a movement that challenges male rights and behaviors has been girl, I'm over here. Girl, let me get some water. My mouth dry. Oh, girl, that was good. Oh, Lord, where was I? Yeah, okay, so this fear of being seen to join a movement that challenges male rights and behaviors has been seen inculcated, girl, let me get it together, into them from an early age through the influence of patriarchy. Girl, my eyes going out. Whose rules they continue to abide by and enforce. Come on, y'all. Now I'm at the last paragraph. Once we see that, once we see that this, once we see, I lost my spot like 4 or 5 times. Once we see that it is the system of patriarchy and not men that is the problem, we can then begin to find an answer. And that's the reason why whenever we have our conversations, we always try to focus on the patriarchal system. Yes, men are the catalysts, but we try to focus on the system because we cannot expect the change when the philosophy and the system is corrupt. Suggest the Hooks. We gotta find an answer. Suggest Hooks. She says that feminists must call attention to the diversity of women's social and political reality and recognize that race and class oppression are also feminist issues. The feminist movement will then be not solely benefit any specific group of women or privileged women over men. The real solution lies, Hook maintains, in changing the philosophical structure. Come on, philosophy, I just said it. Structures that underlie oppression. For this reason, feminism is a political movement, not a romantic notion of personal freedom. And that goes to my point of me always saying we cannot, and I repeat, we cannot, let me fix my mic. We cannot try to free everybody, but yet still hold on to bias and very restrictive and bigoted philosophies. You cannot fully operate in the liberation of all people if you're holding on to a philosophy that informs you about another group of people that you may not understand. And that the philosophy is informing you about a whole community of people. You cannot do that. Girl, I know, my mouth was tongue-tied. My tongue was tongue-tied throughout the whole thing. But that's really it for the video. I wanted to make sure I got up on here, talk about the situation. I really appreciate everybody that came through, baby. I appreciate everybody that came through. Let me see something real quick. Let me see something. Oh, girl, my phone over here low-key falling. Let me see something real quick, girl. Girl, let me see something real quick. Let me see something real quick, baby. See something real quick, baby. Okay, there we go. Got it done. But yes, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Because, girl, my tongue was tied throughout this live. I think because, I have been up here for 2+ hours, almost 3 hours talking and going off. But yes, but that's the way I kind of want to do my lives now, because I have this big giant sociology book. I should be reading it more, and I also have a psychology book as well. And I feel like that would be a good way to kind of make my lives different, but at the same time, also add in a different aspect, because people do learn differently. Some learn from me speaking to them. Some learn from me being able to articulate it. Some learn from me giving them examples. Some learn from reading from a book. And that actually helps some people. And even then, even when I read from the book right then and there, I literally oh god, that was okay. But I was gonna say, like even when I was reading about the feminism and the patriarchy and the public and private, I didn't know. I really didn't know the terminologies of the public and private. It didn't come across my mind. So even when I'm reading this stuff, I'm learning stuff too, baby. And plus, on top of that, as you guys can tell from my tongue being tied, I gotta read a little bit more often so I can get this fluidity going through, and I can read more fluently. And that's on period. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. All right, but however, with that being said, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Eb. I really do appreciate you. Thank you, CJ's daughter. We do appreciate it. Hey, what's going on, Sal? Purple Lover, I don't know if you're still up in here. We do appreciate it, baby. But yes, I do want to end this live, but thank you guys so very much. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts from me. Until next time, guys. Now I will say this, baby. Oh, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And now here's the thing. Oh, actually, my cat, girl. Let me see. Girl, I gotta grab my cash up, my name. Hey, hold up. My cash up is my name, F. My cash up is my name. But I was gonna say this as well, is that, and by the way, since I know you're gonna send something, thank you so very much, F, for your donation. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. I really do. No, you're all good. You're all good. You talk about keep forgetting. You're all good. Oh, hey, purple lover. But yes, I really do like teaching. I really do. Especially when it comes down to stuff that I'm passionate about. And for me, I do not like seeing someone being treated unfairly, especially when it doesn't have to be that. We don't have to discriminate against each other because of race. We don't have to discriminate each other because of who the hell we sleep with. We don't have to discriminate against each other over stupid because our genitalia is different, or we have different gender identities and sexual, or that is all superficial things that we really shouldn't even care about. So to me, all of that is stupid. Personally, all of that is stupid. And to really look at somebody, and this is the reason why I always try to, because people always say things like, especially since we're having this particular context of patriarchy, people always talk about, men and women are different. Men and women are different. Men and women are different. And I want to make it clear. Yes, men or women are different. They do have their differences. Every woman has their difference with other women. Every man has their difference with other men. Men and women collectively have their differences. But it's only an issue when you utilize your differences as a way to dominate other individuals. That's the issue. Trying to use your dominance, using your uniqueness as a dominance. That's the issue. But yes, I really do appreciate actually being on this live and actually getting into some things. I actually learned some things actually from reading, and of course I'm probably gonna watch it back, critique myself, listen to me, and all these different types of things. But I really do appreciate it. I really do like to teach, especially when I feel like this is a way of making a change, because I know for me personally, it took me coming across videos like this to where you see me now. It took me coming across other YouTubers that knew what they were talking about, that was feeding certain information to where I am right now. And it worked for me, and I would be a fool. I would be a fool not to do the exact same thing that worked for me to try to help somebody else, especially if they're on the same exact route that I was on when I was looking for the answers. I was determined for the answers. Come on, and see that right there. And I live for comments like that. Comments like this. I've learned a lot from you and CV, especially about patriarchy. Because think about it, a lot of us don't know about it. Like a lot of the stuff I didn't know until I started entering these conversations. I started to get involved and stuff. I will be dropping the lives I will be dropping a link at some point. Actually, let me drop the link right now. Let me do it right now. At times I do, but a lot of times they really don't be hitting the panel. But I'm gonna drop it right now. Baby, what's your name? Bam, that's the link. It's hitting the link right now. Bam, I just dropped the link, y'all. Actually, let me take this out. Remove from studio. But yes, like that's the reason why because this really has saved my life. Like, no shade. The stuff like this has really saved my life. What's going on, y'all? Hey. Oh shit, I got everybody muted. Everybody muted? Oh.
Hey.
Everybody muted. Hold up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. What purple
okay.
Did I mute you?
No, you didn't mute me.
Okay, to make sure. Hey.
Hey, boo.
Oh Lord, girl, that was a lot. That was a lot of reading I had to do. Girl.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So okay, so tell me your thought. Just tell me how you feel.
Well, first of all, as far as your commentary goes, you were definitely dead on with a lot of the things that you said. So kudos to you. And I love I'm a visual learner, and I'm more of a hands-on type of learner, but the visuals help. I know we can't be hands-on, but just saying in general. Yeah, like the visuals, they definitely help and put some things in perspective. These are not the type of conversations I'm well versed in, and I'm not ashamed to say that. You know, everybody has their things. So, but when you and like CTV and when I watch other panels, when y'all talk and everything, and how y'all, well, in most cases, not on J-Leethal, but like in most cases, you have like a articulate debate, or you know, like a conversation, even though some differences. Like I can appreciate that, and I enjoy hearing other people's perspectives. So
me too.
Yeah, and as far as when it comes to people like J-Leethal, I mean, you know, you have quite a few of those toxic ass thoughtful men out there. But for me, when I was I only jumped up on his panel because I heard the other guy, I think his name was Bubs or something like that. I was really enjoying his comments. I was enjoying his perspectives and everything. And he just started blowing me when he was what really triggered me was the whole Bible thing, how they just weaponize the Bible and that's what pissed me off. Like, don't play with me like that. Like, stop playing. I'm like, when did he hit somebody? Where was that? I'm like, what scripture is that? Oh, when he was in the temple. And he had a whip or something. I don't know what he said. I'm like, that don't sound like he hit somebody.
But that's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, you are good. But there it goes again. When you utilize the Bible and you don't have context, historical it's different aspects to the Bible. Like, and I learned that from Conscious. Like, I'm not even that deep. I'm not even a Bible thumper. To be honest with you, but I understand there's different aspects to the biblical text. So people started talking outside of their neck. Even me not being that deep into the Bible, I'm like, girl, you using it, or boy, you using it so wrong. Like, I don't want to. Yeah. And then on top of that, it's the intention. It's the intention behind you're doing these things. Because like, even when I said earlier in the live, I said, you guys consider the called Heart of Inspiration a witch, but yet when you pray, who are you praying to? And even when you're praying, it's all about your intention. Your intention is the most powerful thing. You can say whatever you want, but if your intention is bad, then guess what's going to be bad?
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, oh snap! And I was raised in a church and Bible studies and Sunday school. Like, I'm not like, that's really my foundation. But again, hearing like conversations like from you and Conscious, and hearing the other people just speaking from their perspective and everything of the Bible, I still, I'm a firm believer in it. But it's okay to get different perspectives, but then also having the spirit of discernment is that's where it really comes in. And the way that they were using it last night, I mean the other night, I'm just like, that's not what it means. I know that's not that's not what it means. You know what I mean? And that's when at one point I'm like, well, which one are you? Are you following the Old Testament or the New Testament? Because you keep going back and forth. Well, like, what is it? Like, I'm just confused.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, like that's how I know they really don't want to have the conversation. And plus, we all knew they really didn't want to have the conversation, because as soon as Conscious started talking about the Bible, they didn't want to talk about the Bible. Then when I started talking about the children, they want to talk about the children. Then we start talking about this, they want to talk about. It's like, okay, what are we doing?
It's
like,
especially when Heart of Inspiration could break it down.
Yeah,
especially. Yeah, he didn't want
especially
it
when she started to get into it, he didn't want to talk about it.
Nope.
Because it goes back to what another one of my favorite content creators talks about. When you're having conversations, they should be done in good faith. That was not a good faith conversation at all. It was done with the intention of solely maintaining your point and not actually being open to receiving new information. It was just for him. He reminds me a lot of Larry Elders. Larry Elders is a dude. He's a black conservative that used to be on TV. I'm not sure if he's still up there, but I used to love to watch him because it was the most entertaining thing. Because he would literally bring you on his show so he could talk at you, and you really didn't get to say much. And I just found it hilarious as hell that these people would go on his show so they could not get a word in edgewise.
That was most definitely J-Leethal.
Notice what Consciouztv said to you and to Lisa. I'm going to let y'all talk because when it was time for me to talk, every time I try to say anything, then it was about a timer. And I literally was like, dude, you told CTV that he was going to have 5 minutes. Initially, I think he started saying it was going to be 6 minutes, then turned into 5 minutes. He was all over the place.
But here's the gag of it all, and this is the reason why that's the reason why whenever I go over there, he's very I don't trust him, because he said 5 minutes. Then throughout the conversation, he would say 4 minutes, and then he said that Consciouztv actually went over a minute over his time. That's why he was doing the clock thing. But here's the thing, and this is the gag of it all. It's like you're only doing the timer when it comes to Conscious, because you know that intellectually, and keep in mind, I went to the videos, I went back, I've seen you in the comment section, Purple Lover. You know as well, he cannot sit with Conscious intellectually. So he wants to put that timer on there, because he knows that if he asks Conscious a lot of nuanced, complex questions that you have to get in depth with, all of a sudden, if he goes over time, he can make the issue about him not following the rules instead of what he's actually saying. And he doesn't have to, he can look like he's there to have the conversation from the outside in, looking in, but however, the people who really know, we know.
You know what I call that? I call that the Fox News interviewing style. Because if you watch Fox News, that's exactly what they do. They will ask you questions that they know that you can't just give a simple yes or no to, and they keep cutting you off. So you just look like you just all over the place, when in actuality, they ask you specific questions that requires you to give a lot of detail, and then not allow you to give it. There's a lot of things in the Bible that goes right over people's heads, because if you don't understand Jewish culture, you're going to miss a lot of things. Just like with Black culture, there's certain things, like my ex used to say, there's certain things that just don't have to be said when you're part of that culture. So there's a lot of things that in that book that we don't understand, that most people don't understand the significance of, which I do. Like the whole story about the lady with the issue of blood. When you understand she was literally taking her life into her hands by being out in public while she was unclean among a crowd, and we all know how crowds can easily turn into mobs.
Yeah.
She reached down and touched the hem of Jesus' garment, which was a no-no. First of all, she wasn't supposed to be touching him because he was considered a rabbi, and she was not married or family to him. Just by So she had two things that she was doing that was extremely dangerous. That's why when he turns around, he said, "My sister, your faith has made you whole." Because had he not said that, the likelihood of that crowd turning around and stoning her right then and there was on the table. But you miss all that when you don't understand what this woman was actually doing. Because when you choose to divorce somebody from that culture, you're going to miss the nuances that comes along with that.
I agree.
I appreciate that explanation because, yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard that story just growing up. But again, like a different perspective of it or just more in depth about it. It's what's needed and it needs to be said from the right person.
Yes.
But I thank God that I do have enough discernment spiritually to know who I can listen to and who I can't listen to. You know what I mean? So just being up there, I didn't take a lot of what he said to heart. At one point when he calmed down and he was just quiet for like 30 seconds. You know, listen, a broken clock is right at least twice, right? So like a couple of things he said, I was like, okay, I agree with you on that. I'm not arguing with that. But then he'll just start to go off on a tangent, like whenever I would be like, okay, I'm not saying that, but here's my point. You know?
Yeah, because he has a girl. I'm just gonna say it. He allegedly. I personally feel he has a disdain for women. I'm gonna say I personally feel. Reckless is saying that. Nobody else on the panel is saying it. I'm saying it.
I'm saying it too. I'm saying it too. No, I ain't just you.
Yes,
I'm saying
I feel like
it
he
too.
has a disdain. He has a disdain for women. Don't try it. Hey,
Yeah.
Conscious. Hey, what's going on, Anya?
Hey, TV.
Okay, so first of all, this is wonderful, excellent. I'm gonna tell you why I appreciate the way that you construct your platform. It's the fact that you're teaching, but you're allowing us to see the literature. That's the first thing. We have a big problem, our community. We have a big problem when it comes to learning, like literally educating ourselves. We usually take to word of what someone else says, and we never go into our own research, which is a big no-no. As far as religion is concerned, we have been literally trained to just take the word of what someone else says, their interpretation of everything. We have not, as a collective, reached out to other spiritual practices and studied them because they've been to be false, and we've taken our leaders at their word, and which is really crazy to me, because when you're in school getting an education and your teacher teaches you something, you still go home and study for yourself because you have to make sure you're prepared, for tests and things of that nature, or whatever. You don't take the word of mouth of your teacher, but you actually use the textbook to study, doing the homework assignments and things that to, help you learn more. But for whatever reason, when it comes to religion, we literally take the word of what is told to us. We never extend ourselves. And I don't even like the term Black culture, because Black is not a race. I'm sorry. We are Africans, which we know this. We are mixed with other nationalities, but we don't know our own heritage. And if we really studied our own heritage, like find out what country you're from. They have these tests out here that you can take and find out where you're from. your ancestry is from, the culture of your ancestry, to learn the truth about your spirituality. But we don't do these things. It's like we have been literally programmed to just do what master taught us to do. And then we just keep perpetuating the cycle time and time again. J-Leethal is not the only ignorant person out here in these streets spreading this rhetoric, this toxic rhetoric. A dime in a dozen. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I can't even blame his ignorance on him, because where are our ancestors, our elders and things, like, who's like you're taking an approach, you're young though, reckless, you know what I'm saying? And I commend you or whatever, but people are gonna use that against you, like, oh, he young, he'll talk about,
They do.
And it's like, where are elders where are the elders that like, when they gonna step up into their role and and do their part? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really sad how we've been like conditioned to not like really take control over our own lives and educate ourselves for this world. And we quick to blame everyone else for taking the accountability that it's us that fall short. We are the ones, even individually, as a collective and individually, it's our fault.
Yep.
It's like completely our fault. And I'm always perplexed at the fact that even myself, because I'm trying to let me take that word out. I am deprogramming myself from a lot of toxic behavior that I've been taught. And it's like the movie The Matrix. It's like my mind is open, and I can't believe that I was bamboozled for all my life.
Like, same here.
Like, and now that I see, it's really hard for me to not, you know what I'm saying? When I know better to do better, it's hard for me not to go and read a book. You know what I'm saying? Something that I was taught to shy away from. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not hard for me. I used to love watching Ratchet TV. It's hard for me to literally watch Ratchet TV because it's nothing but dumbing me down. Like, it's doing nothing for my mind. So all the things that have been embedded in us, once you get that truth and knowledge, it's like if you bite that fruit, it's like really your responsibility from henceforth.
And honestly, to be completely honest, it's like, especially once you get to a point of when you actually know and you actually know the truth, it's kind of disgusting. Well, I would feel, you would kind of feel disgusted. You're like, damn, I used to think like that. And I would say it would kind of make you, like, it would kind of make it to a point to where, and I'm using disgusting loosely, but it would kind of make you feel to the point like, damn, I don't even want to go back down that road. Like, now you may relapse and stuff in the beginning stages, but once you get to that point, you're gonna be like, oh my God. Like, for me, when I first realized I was holding like a lot of misogynistic ways that I had no clue of, once I realized that shit, I was like, that's fucked up. I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to change that.
I can't even go back to church. I'm gonna tell you the God honest truth. I had already been like, my brother passed in 2019. Prior to him passing, it was like I literally would get offended. Like, nobody was doing anything directly to me, but I was watching how, like, the church hurt, like, people that were offended and things, and it was bothering me. Like, it was really, really bothering me. And I'm like, I started focusing mainly on like the teachings of Jesus, like out of the Bible. Like, I literally I didn't care about what happened in the Old Testament. I didn't care what happened after Jesus died, according to the King James Version. I didn't care about any of that. Because I'm like, what I'm saying? This is who I am supposed to be following. Idolizing, this is who I'm supposed to be practicing teachings after. And I'm like, I don't care about the rest of these people in the Bible, because that's nothing but gossip to me, right? So I'm like, I'm looking at them saying these people aren't even like, how do y'all say that y'all are Christians? This is a whole title that literally identifies the followers of Christ, but y'all not implementing any of this. So when my brother passed, it was like, oh my God, it was like a whole like awakening for me. And I just became disgusted. And I'm a preacher's kid. And my dad, not that he was perfect, he was just a humble man. You know what I'm saying? And he really like was so transparent about his life that like I couldn't find nobody outside of like hearing about Jesus to compare him to other than my dad, right? And I'm like, even to him, I'm like, this ain't right. Like, y'all don't even see how oppressive this is. This whole like, pigeonhole religion or whatever that has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus. but we're going to keep, tying him to this Bible that, you know what I'm saying? He didn't even condone, basically. Like, he don't condone this mess. And we really sit up here and want to keep using him. But like you said, it really takes time to detox that out of your system. You know what I'm saying? Which I totally understand. But I cannot find myself, for the likes of me, to go back to anybody's church, because I know better now. And it's like, I don't speak against necessarily the religious organizations in that way to tell someone you shouldn't go, because everybody got to find the truth in their own time. But I'm just like really bugged out that how can you guys say, and I've heard it so many times, so when I say you guys, not no one on the platform, but how can you say the church is broken? Let's take this Bishop Wooten guy. Y'all know the church is broken. Y'all know this stuff is like what Beyonce put in her song, but y'all want to sit here and y'all want to make her the problem. She's not the problem. The church is the problem, but y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that.
Because it's accountability. And when you start talking accountability, then there's a problem. Because even Jesus did not want to be put into the position he was put in. Because, again, it's about accountability. You were supposed to not only do what he did, you were supposed to do even greater things than he did. So when I choose to put you on a pedestal and I said, well, I raised you to this God level of, now I don't have to be accountable at all, because now I can say, well, only Jesus could do that. Even though when you go back to his words, he commanded people to not only do what he did, but even greater things. So there's a problem there. It goes back to accountability. The same way I have people calling me and want me to literally tell them how to run their life. Do you know I had somebody to actually get a psychic reading and ask me what cereal they were to eat? Because people don't want to be accountable for themselves at all.
When people reference Jesus, is that they don't reference him in his true content. In that Bible that they always want to refer to, we can even use J-Leethal as an example. Jesus never spoke about, he never specified what sin was. He never specified what sin was. All Jesus basically did was tell us to love each other. That's all he did. He literally told us to love each other. The reason why he focused on love is because when you truly love someone, you have empathy, you have compassion, and there's no judgment. There's only room to grow together in unity if you focus on love. But they don't talk about that. They always want to use Jesus and, misrepresent him and try to make him this mean, hateful deity when he was not that. And they don't want to deal with it. They always want to make, they always want to take, which is something that has been placed in us from slavery, even before slavery. And I hate to make it a male thing or whatever, but once that European doctrine came and like really got into us, like was beat into us, we literally stopped being like intelligent, and we just don't have no knowledge of the true essence of who the great supreme is. It ain't about a title. It's not about even separating. It's about pulling us together and uniting us. But it's so weird because J-Leethal's goal is not to bring us together. It is truly to divide. It is truly to divide. Most people that...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but J-Leethal is a product of taking, instead of telling you the good news, it became predominantly focused on sin. Whatever you're giving your focus and attention to is what you become. Jesus even told you become what you think about. So if you're constantly going into a building and having people telling you how you're sinful, you're wretched, you're all these negative things, then the people who are constantly eating that fruit are going to turn into that, because it was never put, the focus was never put on the good, pure, and loving things and things of good report. Every church you darn near go into wants to focus you on sin. Why? Because if I make you focus on your sin and that's all we focus on, I literally rob you. And what they don't realize, what they do realize, I'm not going to be that naive, that they are denying the Christ in you, the power that will be activated in you if you literally do what the Bible says, which is repent, which is change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you change your mind and you start to focus on what's good, pure, and lovely, it protects you to a certain degree, and your life will literally change, because whatever you're focusing and giving your attention to, that is what's coming, and that is what you're becoming. AKA, why you have people, when everybody was on the carbonation thing with Master Short Bus and his Short Bus crew, the people kept reporting on him. Notice they began to become him because they were spending too much time and focus on him. So they literally became what they were giving their focus and attention to. That's when you started seeing all the infighting, and you started to see them in a lot of ways. The very thing that they couldn't stand was what they became.
And that is, you know what, that is the God honest truth. You do become what you partake in. And that is the reason why, although I love Consciouz, I really was like, why did he want us to come over here? I know that the intention was good, but this man, like J-Leethal's whole purpose was to divide us, to create chaos for content. Because at the end of the day, these people cannot, they really cannot create content without creating drama. Their whole thing is based on drama. That's their content. And, you know, it is really unfortunate because Reckless, Consciouz, and Larry, you know, there are a few content out here that are trying to build up our community. And there are people that don't want us to be built up. That is just the bottom line. You know, you are a threat when you step out of the masses and you begin to use your own mind to empower yourself. You are a threat. And it's really unfortunate for those people. But I really came up here to just really commend Reckless. I adore you. I really truly adore you. I want to encourage you to stay on the right path of what you're doing. Keep putting your foot and your knees on their necks, chokehold them, or whatever you have to do, whatever, because you are needed. You know, we need more young black men like yourself. Because unfortunately, this world, our community is dominated by us black women, and it is unfortunate that the black man, quote unquote, just hasn't stepped up and hasn't, you know, taken accountability and to become an example for us. And, you know, you want to be, you know, they want to be called leaders and kings and all of that. However, they can't lead us to, you know, to the toilet, basically. And
they can't even lead themselves out of a paper bag.
And that was one thing I was like thinking about. I before I even did this video, it was the gag of it all, because even when J-Leethal, and I'm gonna try to end this on a positive note, but even when J-Leethal literally made the example, and which is my thumbnail, we should physically discipline this woman, but also he made another statement saying that he gave an example of making the Declaration of Independence, but however, he says when you're starting anything new, you want to make a declaration or decree. And so the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, but y'all can barely start up new communities. What the hell makes you think you're going to start up a whole new civilization? Like, you're not helping start a whole community all over again. What the hell makes you think you're going to start a whole continent all over again, a whole new civilization all over again? Because even y'all even make it, the households aren't even whole. What the hell makes you think you're going to be able to come together and make something bigger than your household? But however, when you have your own household, it's in chaos.
Yeah, Reckless. I mean, even lower than that, they can even have. He can't even hold a basic conversation, an adult conversation. You know, an intellectual conversation. So, somebody like him, or people like him, just in general, they won't. I don't believe that they will get far at all because it's just nothing but chaos, nothing but confusion. And it won't last long. You know what I'm saying? Like that is just a house built on quicksand, on sand. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I wasn't trying to cut you off, sweet. Um, the thing is with J-Leethal, he's a representation of what's currently going on. You have a group of men that really don't want to build nothing, but they want all the attributes, all the rewards of doing the work without actually doing the work. As you listen to him talk, you could see how he had no emotional intelligence about himself and no ability to emotionally regulate himself. As soon as he got, excuse me, as soon as he got upset, he was all over the place. The whole time, God bless, part of the inspiration. She was very patient. She maintained herself throughout the thing. So did CTV. The whole reason CTV went over there in the first place, you got to remember, CTV is still an empath and a hero. So those things are going to call out to him to do that work. So he knows what he's dealing with. No one understands the empath. We know what we got with what we're dealing with. But he does the work anyways because it's the idea of it may not take root now, but I'm going to seed you anyway. And if it takes root, fine. And if it doesn't, fine. But I did my part to bring you along. So that's where that's coming from.
I'm an empath as well, but I have to take care of my health. That's my number one priority. And I have myself personally been practicing staying away from toxic people because I have so, and I have not completely been able to. I think I'm doing a great job at it, but I haven't been able to completely put the safety on when it comes to dealing with toxic people. And J-Leethal's disrespect, his level of just like with Tasha K, the level of disrespect in their tone and their aggression, it triggers me. So I just choose for my mental health and well-being, I choose not to engage with those type of people because the goal is not to get an understanding. Like he didn't want us to come over there for us to have a conversation to agree to agree. That was not his goal, and I saw straight through it before he even started the conversation. I mean, you're upset because your moms are in the chat, and we are in the chat, and we're putting up TV. You should feel honored that we're here to grade. Like nobody attacked him in the beginning. He brought that energy and changed the whole narrative of the conversation before it began.
And Aja, to your point too, like even at the end of the live when he was wrapping up, he was like, "Oh, we have 14 new subscribers or something like that." He started counting, his subscriber count or whatever, seeing that it went up about 10 people or whatever. And when I seen that, I said, "That's all this fool wanted, was just to get some controversy, just to get some attention." And that's it. And it only went up by I think like 10 or something like that, he said. So yeah, that wasn't no genuine conversation. It wasn't no genuine debate that he wanted to have at all.
That's why I said initially that conversation was not done in good faith. And to address what you were saying, Anya, I completely understand where you're coming from. But that's the thing though. Everybody's not assigned to everybody. There's certain people that I deal with, and my way of teaching and stuff, because I'm not one of these loving light gurus who sits up there and talk sweet to you. Because there's some people who, if you don't mind me saying this, reckless, there's some people ask I have to dig into. Plain and simple. The people I typically deal with are very hard-headed like J-Leethal was. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to give you this. I'm not going to participate in your illusion of grandeur, because even with teaching manifesting, you have to be very clear on what you want. You have to understand that this is not for the faint of heart. If you're a person that's going to be all over the place, you can expect nothing, because when you have to be willing to self-discipline yourself, and it gets easier as you do it. But if you don't have the ability to actually have the self-mastery and self-discipline, then yeah, doing stuff like what I teach is not going to work for you, because you're going to give up on yourself way too soon.
Yeah.
And I had a dude, he wanted to be a leader. He would talk to people, he would talk down to people. And I told him, because in my tribe, I'm a spiritual advisor and I'm also an associate chief of the tribe. If I'm constantly talking down to you, if every time I talk to you reckless, or every time I talk to Consciouztv, well, both of y'all Scorpios, so y'all would sting the hell out of me any damn way. But y'all wouldn't tolerate that, especially Mr. CTV. And I know you won't read the reckless, but Hunter, the reads from CTV give me life. Cause I get so tickled, because I had seen all of that Scorpio energy dealing with my mama and my sisters, so I know what it's like. But I can't come to the tribe and have 1,001 excuses why I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I can't come into my spiritual class and think I'm going to talk down to people, make them feel dumb, make them feel powerless, and then expect them to want to attend another class. That doesn't work. But he wanted to be in a position that he was not qualified to do. First of all, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I told him, right now, you are what would be legally considered insane, because you keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. I said, nobody with any type of self-concept is going to sit there and listen to you talk to them the way that you do. You're asking to play a role that you are not qualified to play. Because with being in a leadership role, there's accountability. There's even now, I've been working more on my communication skills, because as part of my accountability, I'm realizing that that's an area of opportunity for me to work in. So I've been working on dealing with that. He's not willing to do that. If you don't, he's like J-Leethal. If you don't give him what he wants, then he's going to be emotionally unregulated and going to be all over the place. Want to start calling people out their names, because I made a rule with him. I told him, you are not allowed to call any black woman a bitch in my presence. And you're going to stop referring to your baby mama like that with me, because she wasn't a bitch before she became your baby mama, right?
Okay.
And I said, that says more about you than it does about her. And I was like, you're not doing that with me. So one night he decides he gonna try it. I was in my other blues, I'm not the 1, the 2, or the 3, honey. I was like, well, since that's how you're feeling, we're going to go ahead and end this call, because I'm not going to tolerate you disrespecting a woman on my phone. That's not going to happen. And so we hung up. But you're dealing with people who are used to getting away with stuff like that. The whole reason he feel like he can hit a woman is because he's been allowed to be emotionally unregulated all the time. And you saw that well, because even with Part of Inspiration, she got the most I've seen anybody really get out of J-Leethal, to be quite honest. But it still went back into the whole disrespect, being just out of hand. And that's what the data has been showing. Even when these men get their quote unquote preferences, they're still they're suffering a worse fate than the black woman is. because not only are they coming into their communities, they're actually making known baby mamas at a higher rate now than they did in ours. So it's showing you that they're full of crap. Like y'all all say, he's not doing anything in good faith. It's all about how can, like CTV was talking about last night. It feels kind of clout chasing to me. It really does.
Definitely. Yeah, that's crazy. Ooh, I'm sorry. I had my mic.
No problem. I didn't mean go on that long. But he
You all good, baby.
For occupying the space. But,
Can y'all hear me? Try not to yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was
yes, ma'am. We can.
cloud chasing, but I have to say without keep going on. I know this he is the topic. But what did it for me? Because before he even went off the handle, it was when he allowed us, when he said to come up on the panel, and he automatically just went on this whole tirade because he wanted us to turn on our cameras, right? My son was the one that went up here. It wasn't me. It was my son. He's only 13 years old, and he wanted to speak. Speak to the subject because he's listening. They be in another room, but they can still hear me when I'm on these panels and things of that nature. And he was appalled to hear a man, talk about a woman in that way, in that tone with the aggression, just all together. He was just amazed. And although it's nothing new to him, it's just I think it's the fact of like when he hears me on certain panels, he doesn't hear men being disrespectful like that towards a woman.
Yeah.
So it was like really applying. And then when he saw that it was my child, when he saw that it was clearly a child, he started asking, "What are you cis or what are you transgender? Like, what does any of that have to do with the topic at hand?" That's what he thought. But I literally had to just like get off of the line, like make my son hang up, and I'm like, listen, I should not expect any more from this person. He's already shown us time and time again. And the same person spoke about slapping his 8-year-old son upside the head. So why would I think that he would have any respect and regard for my child when he has none for his own? So we do have to start really like acknowledging people for who they show that they are to us. You know what I'm saying? When people know who they are, then we should handle them accordingly or whatever. I will never grace this platform again. But no, I don't care who goes up here because he doesn't deserve my view. He just doesn't. And I pray, I can't tell nobody how to interact with him, less conscious, less reckless, if y'all up for the challenge, God, hey, like all that. But me personally, I have a forgiving heart. I'm very forgiving, but I just can't ignore the fact that he literally just, without any justification, he just totally disrespected everything attached to Conscious that night.
Yeah, because I don't know if y'all heard the thing when he said that the CTV crew was a cult because everybody kept asking him, when can we leave? I got so tickled with that one. Oh, and by the way, Miss Lady, I just wanted to tell you, I am so proud of how well you raised your son. The fact that he was willing to stand up in his power to protect you says a lot about you and how you're raising your child.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I was so proud. I was like, go ahead, little king. I see you, boo.
I legitimately have, I bring my kids, it's like, even because I watch it, come on all type of days, different times. I bring my children in to hear the content. Because unfortunately, sometimes your children ain't going to hear it from you. We already know how they go. We were children once. So influence of the world is very important. And I just want to guide them, right? I allow them to listen. You know what I mean? I tell them, you can hear the cursing and all of that, as long as you don't do it. But listen, hear what is being said, because you're going to go out into this world, and I need you to be prepared. They may even change their opinion as they continue to grow up about certain topics, but just be prepared for what you're going out into to deal and engage with, because this world is really like it is crippling our children, and it's really on us parents, to like basically guide them in the right direction. And I thank you for that or whatever. And it's a learning process rather for me. And they're watching me change too. As I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like this whole thing comes full circle for my family. You know what I mean? They watching me change and get empowered. And you know what I mean? And that helps them as well. So that's why I'm like, really, I always big up Reckless. I always big up Conscious and Larry or whatever, because they are literally the epitome of what I would want my sons to be. Not that I think these men are perfect. However, it's how they present themselves out to the world. That's important to me.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you so very much. I really appreciate it because, baby, I've been trying to be more consistent on my channel, but of course, you know, because of circumstances and stuff. So I feel like it, then I won't feel like it, and then Consciouztv kind of dragged me to make me go live and stuff. But I've been trying to be more consistent. So really hearing that is thank you so very much. I really appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you see how be willing for you do against Consciouztv, because he was disrespect my baby dad.
Yeah. And Reckless, I'm telling you again, man, you read them to filth. I was in here hollering the entire time, and they could not go back and forth with you. It was so funny. And then when you get dropped, I was like, I said, Reckless said, fuck this shit. I done said what I said. I cut off their heads. I'm out.
They weren't making sense. And then on top of that, like when Conscious left, I was like, okay, that's good. I still want to collect a few bodies before I go.
I know that's right. And look, if I was to give a model to the Scorpio, it would be I said what I said. Honey, I'd be on the floor. Especially when you go, this bitch. And CCTV be going in.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to say this to you too, sis. I know I ain't gonna be long, but as far as you taking like your, I don't want to say sabbatical, but as far as you kind of like leaving the church for a little bit, or can't not finding the will or whatever to go back, or the desire rather to go back, I feel you on that, because I haven't been to church since probably like the beginning of this year, because I am like on my own kind of spiritual journey, just learning more of who God is in me, versus like the God that I was always taught that was in the sky type of thing. And you know, just on a whole nother journey too, but also unlearning a lot of things. And that's where, you know, CTV Reckless comes into place. Because I don't really listen to too many other people, because it'll just start to confuse me. So but yeah, just kind of like getting a deeper understanding of who God is just in general, who Jesus is just in general, and not being, because like y'all said with the church, it's just so one dimensional, you know. It's like the pastors are worship not more than God, you know what I mean? Like idolize more than God, and I see that in my own family. You know what I mean? And I'm just
I literally came up out of there.
And let me tell you what I learned, and it was something that was always in me. But again, it's how we train, raised up, and conditioned. What we're doing right now is kingdom work. What we're doing right now is ministry. So for me, you know, I have a broader idea now, because I've always known that the Spirit of God dwells in all man. You know, there's good and evil. So it's what you choose to tap into, right? I know that these platforms that I choose to partake in, this is ministry work. So I don't have to be like, ministry is not supposed to be it's not supposed to be for the four walls. That's not what Jesus' ministry was about. He was out in the world. Like, he never confined himself to a building. He never confined himself to one setting. So, like, I personally would encourage you to find whatever way that you feel is helping building up your spirituality and providing ministry work as well. Find that, whatever it may be, that is your moment and your contribution to the building of Christ. Period.
Yeah, definitely.
He also told you not to be like religious people, because they see you struggling and they won't give two bucks about you.
It's the truth.
And it has. I'm sorry. I mean,
I get it's certain things that trigger me, but it's a repeat. Because I used to literally like I can feel like when I say I'm an empath too, I can feel other people's pain and it burdened me. And it's not really burdening me. Like it could have broke me and it wasn't nothing nobody said to me directly. It was just what others were experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
That's why.
I have a big issue with stuff like that. Like,
that's why when both of y'all said, especially both of y'all touched on just being careful of what you take in, or you definitely become what you are around and what you think and what you feed yourself. So a lot of times, like a lot of topics, especially with the negative stuff that goes on in the world, like certain news and stuff, like even certain subjects that even like Conscious touches on sometimes, I can't watch it too much because it bothers it really bothers my spirit. And that's just not with him. I'm just saying, like, just in general, because it is depressing to me, so I definitely agree with y'all on that, as far as like, and that's just another way of me guarding my heart in a good way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just protecting my peace and stuff. And that's why in certain subjects with like, in particular with J-Leethal, that whole conversation, for me, I ended that live with a smile, even though he was a whole mess. He was very disrespectful to me, but in particular, like you seen it, Reckless. He was off the chain to me, but I mean, I was honestly sipping my wine, and I was just like, this dude is a goddamn clown. I said, this dude is every toxic dude I done dated in the past. Like, every single one of them.
And I said, this is my ex-boyfriend. Is this a nigga did I do this nigga dirty in high school? I didn't get a word out, and I was every ugly, big face, big head, flat face, round face. I said, did I do this dirty in high school?
Child, you every black woman that rejected her. That's what that is.
Yeah, the wine. I was laughing.
That's what all the deflection. He had that, like when a person don't got nothing left to say, they go to the ignorance things to say, and it didn't bother me. That didn't bother me. I just was really like, I really had, because I feel like I'm national. You know what I'm saying? I don't been around these blocks. Well, I was questioning, like, really, like, I don't remember all the niggas I dealt with. Is he one of them? Like, he went in too hard, and I ain't never get to say peep up boo, and he just going in. So,
because
it was
I love you.
My child that triggered me, like,
and Reckless, when he said you call him a slim Jim,
LB, you stay out of my head because I was just about to say that.
Like,
Reckless.
You know what? He really didn't think that Reckless. It'd be funny because when Reckless is on Conscious platform, although he's vocal, Reckless does fall back and listen. I paid that attention a long time ago. He sits back and he listens until it's his turn to speak. Conscious be like, it be coming out like what you call it, an automatic machine gun. He just coming out, right? He didn't think that Reckless was going to bring the heat to him. That's the reason why I felt like he didn't go in on Reckless when Reckless was clearly the one that went in on him.
Yes, because that's the first thing he said when Reckless popped up there was, Reckless the one that called me the Slim Jim. Slim Jim.
Why he didn't go in on Reckless like that?
That was the key, because I said it. I was like, be completely honest. Conscious wasn't even the one that disrespected you. If anything, I'm the one that disrespected you, and you treated me with the most respect, bitch.
Hey, Reckless, that's on him.
But you know
what your reaction.
He's intimidated by and he wants what Conscious has as far as the platform. He wants that recognition. His followers don't give him that type of support, and he might have came to your page or went to somebody else's page, said, "Oh, he's no one," or whatever the case is. I'm mad that I didn't stay to hear you give him the business, but at the same time, I take it, and I know you can handle yourself. I know you prepared and all of that. But I'm glad they done the business or whatever the case may be. But I just couldn't take it no more. I was in the comments telling Conscious, I got to pee. Like, let me in. Come on out the door. All right. Like, let's go. Because he clearly didn't want Conscious to come over there and have a conversation. He just wanted to come over there and get back to Conscious.
He did it.
What he thought he wanted about it.
He did not. Which is why, like, we were aware of the fuck shit that he was probably gonna prove. We were aware of the way that things were gonna go down. Like for me, like I said, my intention was to come with the energy. My defenses were up, and then on top of that, I know how he operates when he has at home advantage. So for me, I was expected to get the heart of inspiration and treatment because I didn't know. Because even though heart of inspiration, she didn't say nothing really. She didn't get disrespectful, and she was kicked off the panel. Just imagine, I just knew I was gonna get kicked off the panel, but you see things. But however, I'm very much aware, and I know that reason why he kept me up there, and because he knew, I guess he felt like he can be able to get with me compared to Conscious. And he felt like, oh, this is gonna be an easy target because he didn't want to get with Conscious because he knows, but he doesn't know me, so he's gonna be like, okay, I can't get Conscious, and we're gonna use the timer to silence him. But however, what happened? What you said, Reckless? Tore all their asses up.
Tore him up, Reckless.
Because he wanted to poke the bear with you. Because like I told you, when you said, I said what I said to him, he wasn't expecting that. He was expecting you to, to react the way he would have. And you didn't. You were like, yeah, I said it.
And that's the thing, it's like, it's recorded. It's recorded. You heard it. I heard it. I said it. Yeah, I said it. Like, what you gonna do?
He thought he was gonna be able to punk KOM too.
Where they had to literally rewind the panel itself back and let people hear that they actually said what they said.
So he thought he was gonna punk KOM too, and he ain't expect KOM to get disrespectful with his. He did not expect KOM.
He thought KOM was going to be on the same type of energy. Because they do have some things that they agree on. But with the Aquarius is going to see the world how they see it. So when they feel like you on some BS, they will tell you on some BS. And he wasn't expecting that. He thought that that he was going to be able to say what he said, and to a small percentage, he was expecting Knockout to agree with him that time.
Yep.
And Knockout was not having it. So, honey, that's another funny read too.
You know what?
Don't know Aquarius people unless they send for you, honey.
There's been a false narrative that has been created about Knockout. So what I've noticed is that whenever there's toxic masculinity presented on the platform, they always look for Knockout to basically to basically justify their, and he doesn't play into that, and they can't understand Knockout affiliation because to Reckless or even Conscious, because they want, they don't like to see cis, straight, hetero, whatever you want to call them, men who ever agree and be in unison and harmony with anyone from the LGBT community. It's bothersome. They can't.
But it's exactly what I talked about, that hegemonic masculinity. That's exactly what it is. But okay, so I really appreciate you guys. But Conscious is about to go live at 5:30, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on that panel, so I got to make my way over there. But I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, y'all ladies are beautiful. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you
for having me.
All righty.
All right.
Period. That song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay. That's on period. Baby girl, I like your style. Alrighty, y'all. That is it for the video for today, guys. Oh my god, that was so beautiful. I really do appreciate all of my panelists that did come up. I really appreciate us being able to have a dialogue, and also I really did appreciate the feedback from the chat, feedback from people that's gonna watch this playback. I really appreciate the feedback of letting me know that you guys actually love the PowerPoint of me actually showing the literature and the stuff that's going to be read and stuff. So I really do appreciate it. So now I know for a fact that's going to be something that's going to stick when I do my commentary on videos. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so very much. Please make sure you guys, and thank you for any all of my donations. I really do appreciate you guys. Like I said before, I still haven't reached my goal when it comes down to the GoFundMe. If your heart moves and if you can you please donate? But if not, of course, I understand. Thank you guys so very much. I really do appreciate it. That is it for my video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please, please, please smack the notification bell so do not miss any more posts from me. And also, let's not forget, please, 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 thumbs up, and please, 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 y'all make sure y'all stay safe and y'all make sure y'all look out for each other. Thank you, guys.